Good evening and welcome to Hachioji on the western outskirts of the capital of Japan, Tokyo. We are live for the IFSC World Championship Lead Finals 2019. We crowned our boulder champions 2 days ago. This evening we will crown our lead champions, and we have got mouth-watering finals on both the men's and women's sides. Scarcely believable lineups and some pretty exciting looking routes too. Charlie Bosco and Mike Langley here. Mike, we were down on the stage earlier, had a look at the routes. As with the semi-final, we could be in for a treat.
Yeah, I do hope so. When the lights come up, you'll get to see what the route setters have got in store for us. Spectacular routes in the semi-finals, really aesthetic lines, stuff that when you walk into the building, the doors open, you just want to jump straight on. The athletes are in a real treat here in Hachioji for the lead competition. The lines themselves, quite short actually. The wall here is actually quite short to fit into the roof of the arena, but the route setters have done a great job in making sure that the journeys definitely go long and they go hard. 44 to around 40, that's 41 moves in the men's, 44 in the women's. So there's no shortage of hard moves out there, that's for sure. And yeah, this one is going to be an absolute nail-biter, I think.
Yeah, the route setters slightly constrained by the fact we've got a 12-metre wall here, so the climbers are going left, then right, back and forth, all sorts of different types of traverses, as we saw in the semi-final. And I have to say the semi-final was one of the best we've seen this season, one of the best we've seen for quite some time actually. If they've produced anything similar, we should be in for quite a superb show tonight. The regulation, 8 men and 8 women through. Over on the men's side, Hannes Puman, Stefano Gisolfi, Jakob Schubert, Kai Harada, Adam Ondra, Sean McColl, Tomoa Narasaki and Alex Megos. 7 of those 8 climbers are World Cup winners, and of those 7, 4 are also world champions. On the women's side, Julia Shanodi, Jessie Pilz, Akiyo Noguchi, Chaehyun Seo, Mia Krampl, Mori, Vita, Lukan and Janja Garnbret, the 8 women. As ever, men and women will climb separately, be the women first, followed by the men. As I say, we could be in for quite a show. Both fields absolutely packed with talent. If this is your first time watching the IFSC and watching professional climbing, welcome along. We have a World Cup tour in each discipline. We have 6, 7, sometimes 8 World Cups around the world in each discipline, but only once every 2 years do we have this event, the World Championship. And this year we are live in the Japanese city of Hachioji, right on the edge of Tokyo. To one side, we've got a city that houses 38 million people, and to the other side, we've got wooded hillsides. It is a stunning location for a World Championship, and it's been quite the show so far. Moments away now, the athletes will be presented to the crowd, and then they'll have 6 minutes to look at the route en masse. They have to stay on the stage. Sometimes we see during observation the climbers getting off the stage, wandering around the venue. This time it's actually quite difficult to get from the stage down onto the floor of the venue, so it's been decided that the athletes can only observe from the stage itself. It does somewhat restrict their view earlier, and we noticed earlier on that they probably couldn't see the very top holes as well as they might like.
Yeah, this wall here has got 3 angle changes. The centre being 40 degrees, the top being a fair bit less than that. It's that top angle that from the stage you really struggle to see. You can see the general shapes of the holes and the whereabouts of the route, the journey itself, the line, but in terms of actually picking out the details, when the climbers get up there, I think it's going to be a real case of just really truly on-sighting the route and just finding your way on the fly. A complete on-site experience at the very top of the wall, and there's no shortage of surprises up there either. I think the route setters here, this finals, they've really kind of taken away some of the real circus tricks, the big flashy moves, and they're going to put on a proper fight. And that's what we really want. That's what went down really well in Briançon, in the Lead World Cups this year, also in Chamonix. And yeah, this one is going to be a proper battle.
Yeah, we've got pretty traditional routes, we believe. We were chatting to our head route setter, Adam Pustelnik of Poland, earlier on this evening. We don't think there are any real big tricks in the route. There's no bat hangs, no feet first, no 360 spins. It's pretty much straight up fighting. And he said something very interesting about the men's route, which was, if you want to win this World Championship, you're going to have to want to win more than the others, because it is resistance climbing. Your arms are going to be tired, your core will be tired, your hips will be tired, your hamstrings will be tired, everything will be tired. And it is basically going to come down to who wants it most, who reads it best, and who fights the hardest.
And what's really interesting, you've got a couple of players in this final tonight who have been battling really hard as the rest day yesterday, but just the bouldering finals, some of these guys have been all the way through this competition already. Already had 3 really tough rounds in the bouldering alone. Then they've had the lead qualification, the lead semi-final, and somehow they've got to climb in the lead final tonight. How that's even physically possible, I do not know.
Yeah, and worth pointing out as well, they haven't had many pushover moves. The men's boulder final was without question the hardest one I've ever commentated on. Lead semi-final, incredibly hard route, didn't see any tops. Qualifiers, perhaps ever so slightly easy. We had 3 climbers with 2 tops, but even so, they haven't had any pushover routes, they haven't had any easy boulders. Jakob Schubert, who appears in this final, made his way onto the World Championship podium in boulder, got 2nd place, having only topped 4 of the 13 boulders he climbed across the 3 rounds. They've been not only 4 days of consistent competition climbing, but consistently very, very hard top-end competition climbing.
Yeah, I reckon some of the teammates of these athletes here tonight are going to be carrying their finalists out of the arena and back to the hotel, just drag them out of here and try and get some recovery ready for the competition that even continues later on in the week. And just interestingly, Jakob Schubert, you mentioned here, the Austrian superstar who's made it through to the finals here tonight. Even the 2nd round of the bouldering 2 days ago was saying, he's done, I'm cooked, I'm absolutely gone already, and somehow they're still going.
Yeah, we actually, in between the semi-final and the final, nipped back to the main part of Hachioji town. We're slightly removed from town here. We jumped on the metro, nipped back. All the finalists were on as well, had the same idea, and going back to the hotel, got maybe an hour's sleep, just relax a little bit. And Mike and I happened to be standing next to one of the Austrian physios, and we said, you've got your work cut out. And he was basically getting their 2 finalists, Jakob Schubert, who we've mentioned, and Jesse Pilz, both of whom I should add won the last Lead World Championship in Innsbruck. He was getting them back to the hotel and trying to do as much work as he could just to try and get some recovery done, try and get some energy back. Both of them had a real fight in the semi-finals, and it's really been survival of the fittest this week. But one thing that's interesting is when you have day after day after day of hard climbing, the really top climbers find their way back to the top. Sometimes a young climber can get a big result in one event, they can have a great day, they can have a great round, but people like Jakob Schubert, people like Adam Ondra, Sean McColl, Alex Megos, they just find a way day after day after day to keep the performances consistently at the level required.
Well, let's have a think about Janja Garnbret as well. Boulder World Cup champion, Tomoa Narasaki Boulder World Cup champion, Boulder World champion, I should say. And they're in the final tonight. Both of them could be lead world champions as well. It's quite extraordinary.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Janja Garnbret has done such a good job of keeping up her momentum, but what a challenge it would be. As Mike said already, they had boulder qualification, they had boulder semi-final, boulder semi, lead qualification, lead semi, and now lead final, and this is all in the space of 4 days. And it's not only a physical battle, it's a mental battle. You try being at your absolute best for 6 rounds, in the space of 4 days. It is a savage schedule, mentally and physically. But somehow, the top, they just keep going back to the well. They just keep finding a way of dragging a little more out of their bodies, and they're going to have to drag a lot more out this evening, but you certainly wouldn't bet against them. Crowd here in Hachioji currently being entertained by the band. The athletes will be presented in around a minute's time, perhaps a minute and a half. The athletes will be presented to the crowd, the women first, and they will have their observation, and then we'll be underway with the women's lead final. Then the men will repeat the process afterwards. They'll be presented to the crowd, and then they will have their observation as well. As I mentioned, 8 men and 8 women taking part. This is the big one. This is the one they want to win. We have around half a dozen World Cups in each discipline every year, but only once every 2 years do we have the World Championship, and here we are in Hachioji. The next one, of course, not until 2021. There is the small matter right here in Tokyo of the Olympics next year, but first things first, this is the biggest prize available in climbing in each individual discipline. We've already crowned our boulder champions, and this evening we will crown our lead champions. Day after tomorrow, we'll crown our speed champions. Then we've got the combined world championships as well. A lot of action already taking place in this arena, and a lot more still to come. And it sounds like the band might have done their thing, and it's time for the climbers to do their thing. That is Julia Chanaudy standing in the doorway, ready to be introduced. She will climb first. Climbers coming in reverse order of how they qualified from the semi-final. So Julia, qualified 8th, will climb first. Here is Julia Chanody. She was 6th in the Paris World Championships in 2016. She has picked up 1 World Cup bronze, but has never been on a World Championship podium. This woman has. She stood on top of it in the last World Championships in Innsbruck, in her home country. Can she repeat it here in Hachioji? It's one thing to win one, it's another to retain it. Akiyo Noguchi has been on a World Championship podium 6 times, 5 times in boulder and once in lead. She has never been on the top step of one. Is today the day? Here's Chaehyun Seo. She exploded onto the IFSC scene at the start of July. She's taken part in 3 World Cups in her climbing career. She's won 2 of them and she was 2nd in the other. Mia Krampl picked up a bouldering medal earlier on this season in the World Cups, and she's been in 2 of the 3 lead finals we've had so far in 2019. It's her first appearance in a World Championship lead final. Here's Mori, 3rd and 4th in the 2 lead World Cups she's done so far this season, and a serious contender here in Hachioji for a home win. Here's Vita Lukan, reigning junior lead world champion. She has never been on a World Cup or World Championship podium in the senior event. And here is the woman they all will have to beat if they want to win this title, Janja Garnbret. She lost her World Championship title in the lead to Jessie Pilz last time in Innsbruck. She won it in 2016. She's just earlier this week completed the double of Boulder World Championships in 2 championships running. She is the favourite in most people's eyes. She's been the dominant force in women's climbing over the past 4 years. We don't have time, even in the 6 minutes of observation, to list all her achievements, but she seems to be the woman to beat here, despite the arrival of Chaehyun Seo onto the scene and Jessie Pilz being here in this evening's final. I think most money is on Janja Garnbret. From what we saw in the semi-final, it's probably a pretty safe bet to make.
Yeah, I have to say, Charlie, those 2 climbers you mentioned there, that is where the real action and the storyline going into this final really is, I think. Before this season, the lead season started, the name Chaehyun Seo really didn't exist in most people's spectators' eyes. You know, she's no slouch, obviously coming some good youth results, but
not youth results that would suggest what she's done.
Well, absolutely.
Be fair to say.
And climbers don't usually just arrive on the adult circuit at 15, 16 years old and just smash it. And that's what she has done, and she's really upset the apple cart with Janja Garnbret. Janja has been beaten. It's, you know, we didn't think that was even possible leading into the start of this leader season. So I really feel like this one tonight, you know, there's 8 very, very talented female climbers out there, but I think this one's going to go down to Janja versus Chaehyun, depending on the style of the route. You have to say, though, based on the semi-finals climbing, Janja just looked like that extra level above. It looks like she's raised her game from the mistakes that she's made in this league season already and got into this World Championships. Just looks like she's a different athlete to those 3 World Cups that we saw in July.
Yeah, she was the standout climber for sure in the semi-finals, got 3 moves further than anyone else. That is Julia Chanody, really now consistently making finals in both Boulder and Lead World Cups. And here's a quick look at the route. We will have a 3D model to show you after this observation, so you can have a even better look at these holes. But the climbers going out left, coming back right, and then real resistance, pumpy, crimpy climbing, culminating in a jump to the top, out to the left to that big quarter circle volume. Jessie and Julia, I think it's Jessie Pilz and Julia Chanody reading the route together. Of course, the climbers welcome to communicate as much as they like, as we perhaps shouldn't be surprised. The 3 Slovenian climbers, Janja Garnbret, Vita Lukan and Mia Krampl, all gathering together at the front of the wall. As it stands, Chaehyun Seo, Mori, kind of doing their own thing. Akiyo Noguchi also doing her own thing, now comes over to have a quick word with Mori, perhaps compare notes on what they've had a look at in the first 2.5 minutes of observation. 6 minutes to observe the routes and then 6 minutes to climb them as well. I wonder which climbers will like what they see. They will have to be up for a fight here today. We've said it a couple of times, it's a relatively short wall, but they've really packed a punch this time, the route setters. They said the semi-finals were punchy. I think these are another level again.
Yeah,
I will be very impressed if we see a top here.
The bottom of the women's route in the semi-final was relatively easy compared to the mid and top sections. Route setters just turned it up a bit. This is full flames all the way from the bottom of the route all the way to the top. Starts intense and just keeps on going and going and going.
So the women will be climbing on the left. You can just see some yellow volumes over on the bottom right there of the wall. That's the men's route, currently in the darkness. That will be illuminated a bit later on when the men climb. So it's women on the left-hand side of this Hachioji wall. 2 minutes 20 seconds left of their observation period. All 7 climbers, with the exception of Julia Chanaudy, actually just there. You can see standing in a line, one by one, and Julia out in front. Quite rare we see the climbers kind of bunching together that much. As it is, it's still Mia and Vita chatting. Janja quietly doing her own thing, as is Julia Chanaudy. Chaehyun and Jessie again, just keeping themselves, and it's Mori and Akiyo Noguchi comparing notes.
I think what's interesting about the athletes reading these routes is there's quite a lot of heel hooks and toe hooks. And when you're reading that in the observation, sometimes that can be really hard to kind of read from the ground. We have the information from the route setters and the full list of moves, laser pointers and all, so we really know what's going on. But for the athletes, this is tremendously difficult, and what a skill it is in just 6 minutes to be able to pick out the moves. And you see time and time again, athletes really do get it nailed on their head in terms of the sequences. Occasionally, as we saw in the semi-final, there's just a little sequence that's just a little bit unknown. You can't read everything perfectly from the ground, and if you can, you're probably going to win. But it's about getting the sequences right on the fly, on the moment, right on the moment. You have just 6 minutes for a World Championship final. It must be so intense for these athletes. Just even these 6 minutes here, they look quite relaxed, quite casual. There's a lot of thinking work going on there.
Yeah, it's really impressive for myself and Mike. Very keen, but firmly recreational climbers. And we have about 10 to 15 minutes look at each route with the head route setter, and we're constantly asking questions. You heel hook that? No, you toe hook it. You go with that with the left? No, that's right hand. We're constantly getting information and asking questions, and even then you struggle to remember much more than the basic outline of the route. These climbers have no route setter to talk to. They have no information at all other than looking at the route and chatting to the people alongside them, and the amount of information that they're able to glean from the route and remember and then execute and put to use on the wall is quite spectacular. It's often amazing how well the climbers have read the route and understood it.
Just gives you a bit of an idea of the shortness of this wall compared to a normal lead World Cup wall. We normally expect around 15 vertical metres in height. This one's around 12. It climbs about 15 metres in total with all the overhang, plus the distance you're going sideways. Only a couple of the climbers using the binoculars. You usually see a lot more use of the binoculars. People getting right back into the rafters to have a really good look. But this time, yeah, they're really up and close and personal with the routes, and I think they get a really good view at the bottom of the wall especially.
So the athletes head back behind the wall. They'll come out one at a time to attempt the route. They'll have 6 minutes to attempt the route. They've also got 40 seconds each for an individual observation, which is basically involves standing at the bottom, double checking what you looked at during the main observation, and then getting on the wall. So we're going to see some 3D models of the wall after we've seen the start list. So as I mentioned earlier, climbers in reverse order of the semi-final. So Julia Chanaudy was 8th in the semi-final and therefore will climb first in the final. She'll be followed out by the reigning lead world champion, Jessie Pilz. She's got a battle on her hands today if she wants to retain her title. Akiyo Noguchi, 6 times on a world championship podium, but never on the top step. Is today the day? We're about to find out. She'll be followed out by Chaehyun Seo, and then it's the first of 3 Slovenians. Mia Krampl, Mori, the second of 2 Japanese climbers, Vita Lukan, and then Janja Garnbret, the biggest name in women's climbing, considered by many to be the greatest of all time. She's already won the boulder. She can't, can she? So as I said, we will get a 3D model of the wall. And here it is.
Here we go then, the route on the left-hand side of the wall, the World Championship Women's Final. Starts at the bottom wall, really after the third quick draw. just around the big hexagon red volume. That's where the route really starts to kick in. Just 3 quick draws up around hold number 11. Crimpy, nice basic start, relatively nice comfortable sequences before you get a pinch, and there's a blue scrawn in that big hexagon there. From that point onwards, the route tends towards for holds 14, 15, the big red fiberglass pinches out right before you get these 2 massive sloping jugs in the middle of the wall around holds 17, 18 and 19 before crossing down. Then the route gets a bit more cryptic out on the left hand side. Some of those heel hooks and toe hooks we were talking about. Hold 27 is the big blue bubble on the big red circles in the middle of the wall. The route at that point goes right out to the far right hand side. Hold 33 is the giant blue sloper on the far right hand side of the wall. Working your way up into this quarter circle is hold 35. Hold 45 is the top, and to get there it's a whole bunch of very bad crimps and a lot of endurance climbing all the way into the top of the wall. Hold 44, terrible sloper on the top volume before jumping to that hold there, the giant quarter circle to finish. Will someone get there? We certainly hope so, and there's certainly going to be some big fights. We really think the podium might come down to the fights on the head wall. The last 10 moves in the head wall really could be the separation here.
Yeah, we were chatting to Adam Pustelnik, who's the chief lead route setter here in Hachioji, and he was saying we'd love the podium to be decided on the head wall. Climbers clearly separated on the head wall would be perfect, and obviously always the route setter's dream, one top would be great as well, so you've got a clear winner. Doesn't always work like that. In 2016 in the Paris World Championships, certainly the best moment I've ever been present for at an IFSC event, when Adam Ondra came out last climber in the last event of the championships and was the only climber to top the lead route to win it. If they could replicate that this evening, I suspect they'd be pretty happy with their 3 days of work to get here.
Yeah, for new viewers at home, it is so close to nearly impossible, I'm going to say, to get that level just right. Everything is based on how the route sets feel, how difficult they feel, how the climbers are feeling. Sometimes the climbers climb well, sometimes they don't climb well. Sometimes the skin's not great, sometimes the muscles aren't great. There's so many individual factors going into what the result is going to be here tonight. How the crowd feels, what the DJ's playing, what the temperature is like. For the route setters to get the level right here, they are humans after all, and it is so, so difficult.
I have to say, they did a fabulous job in the semi-final. I felt got it absolutely spot on. We very, very nearly got a top in the men's route. Alex Megos, the only climber to have a really good go at the last move, and actually was quite far short of it, but he at least attempted the last move. Over on the women's side, Garnbret was a couple of moves short from the top, but they separated the climbers well, gave him a good fight, and I thought got the level absolutely spot on. But as Mike says, there are so many factors. You talked about individual factors. We've got the factors in the wall. What are the conditions like on the wall? How tired are the climbers? How did they sleep last night? There's a million things we could list that make a difference, and I think most route setters would have to say they need a good slice of luck as well as very good judgment. If they get both, we're in for a fantastic show, and they're the 8 women who will contest this evening's final. As I say, Julia Chanaudy, the first out. She's picked up a World Cup medal, picked up a bronze medal, but she's never been on a World Championship podium. Would dearly love to change that today. The dramatic music kicks in and we await the arrival of Julia. Arena pretty much full here in Hachioji, just filling up the last few seats. And there she is, ready to go. Always tough coming out first. The crowd are expectant. You haven't been able to sit backstage and listen and gauge any sort of reaction. You can't look at your watch and thinking, wow, people are going through pretty quickly. They must be falling off low down. You've got absolutely no information. You've just got an expectant crowd, a lot of cameras, and a lot of people watching at home.
Yeah, one good thing about coming out first, you can just get on with it. No time in the isolation zone. I've been in the isolation zone myself as a competitor. It's awful. You just want to get out there and get on with it.
Yeah, interesting. Some climbers like climbing earlier on, some like coming out a bit later. Choreography not quite perfect there. Julia Chanaudy just checks with her belay when to come out. Remember, she's got 40 seconds now to look at the route before her 6 minutes of climbing time begins. There is actually a chap on stage with a stopwatch making sure she doesn't exceed that 40 seconds, but actually I think she only used about half of it. Wants to get on with it. Again, another advantage of starting early is all that memory about what the route looks like is very fresh.
Yeah, I'd say I think that is a big factor. You've just seen the 4 minutes maybe that has passed since you last observed the route. So this is one positive thing about going first climber into this kind of set of star volumes. Route setters have put some pretty tricky moves down here, but it should be relatively basic. We want to see all climbers really getting up to hold 10 at least, which is that pinch above. It's a particularly low wall here, so the belays have got to be really alert at the base of the wall. Don't want any climbers landing back on the stage. That would be particularly anticlimactic, I think. Hold number 11 is the next hold up and left, and this is where the route setters are saying this route is really going to kick in from this point onwards.
So Julia already up to the hexagonal cluster of volumes through what we consider to be a relatively simple start, and you can see instantly in the movement just how much force suddenly had to be employed. It's like suddenly dropping a gear in a car and it accelerates away. You could see she suddenly had to put in a lot more fight. Series of heel hooks, toe hooks, could be quite tricky to read. She seems to have done a pretty good job of it so far.
Yeah, good heel hook, but the slopers that she's got at the moment, they're kind of slopey jugs, pretty fierce to hold on to actually. Got to put a lot of force through them. Seems to have got through really smoothly so far actually.
Yeah, route setters were saying we could actually, they wouldn't be that surprised if we lost someone around this section, and you could see Julia's back muscle, she was just shaking a little bit with the effort between those two big volumes that she's just left. She's now onto some crimps again. This sequence should be relatively easy to read. You go up again with the left hand. You've got a couple of options after that with what you do with the right hand. Julia just shaking out.
Yeah, just using the edge of that overlapping volume. This is where the big traverse starts. Left to right, probably a good 5 meters sideways now. This is where the route's going to get really physical. All of a sudden, going to be taking power out of a whole different muscle group.
If you are following the scores on screen, Jessica's online, sorry, Julia's score is updating in real time, so you will see her score tick up. There's a couple of seconds delay, but you can follow the score in real time as Julia Shanodi really beginning to shake now with the effort, and you can see her face grimacing. Absolutely everything going into this route, and she was just about to pull onto the head wall as we lost her. Route setters anticipated the climbers climbing quickly, and so it proved. She was about to breach the head wall. She'd only been climbing 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and that's a really good early high point from Julia Shanodi.
Just have another look at this point here. You can just see, actually from the previous angle, he was grimacing on the face. Both left and right arms did look really tight. You can see the shoulders come right up into the neck. It's always a good sign that the climbers are completely pumped at that stage. Forearms and biceps, everything's pretty much gone. And it was that really physical section that kind of made the difference there. She was looking really steady up until the midpoint on the wall. Then it really kicked in around hold 30-31.
So the reigning champion, Jessie Pilz, she has not quite looked on world champion form so far this season, but can she pull something out of the bag when it matters most? She's in the doorway, she's ready to go, and I think she'll want to get on with this. She'll have a pretty good idea that either Julia fell very low or climbed quickly because she had to. And also, the quick draws that Julia clipped are still swaying.
Yeah,
I suspect Jessie might notice that when she comes out.
Yeah, these climbers are pretty wily bunch, and then as soon as she comes out, she'll look up the wall and can see where the quick draws are still and where they're still swinging. So she'll know exactly the point where she got to. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really know. You know, when you know where someone else has got to, that's a whole different pressure you've got to deal with. The best thing she can do, she can't do anything to affect Julia's results, so she's got to go out there and just climb the route.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I've heard a few climbers say that they have a look at the quick draws, but as you say, Mike, it doesn't really affect what you've got to do. It doesn't really affect what you can do.
All it really can do is when you get to that point, if you get to that point, it just somehow make you dig in even harder if you feel like you're about to fall off, but the quick draws are still moving from the previous climber above you. It's an extra motivator, an extra factor that goes into the ordering of these climbers.
So Jessie Pilz now following Julia Shanodi onto the wall. The reigning champion, as I said, not looked on the form of 2018 so far this season, but often the top climbers are able to pull it out when it matters most, and Jessie Pilz absolutely one of the top climbers. 15 World Cup medals she's collected in her career so far, and of course a World Championship gold, the most prized medal of all. But if she's going to refine her form of last year, the next 5 minutes, I would suggest, would be the time to do it. That's where Julia Shanodi got to. She got to hold 30 and get to plus for having moved off it. So anything above that will put Jessie into a very early first place, but of course with 6 climbers still to go, doesn't guarantee anything.
Really tenuous heel hook here. Have to put a lot of concentration in to make sure that that doesn't zip off. If that goes, you're in really big trouble.
And like Julia, you can see from the tensing of Jessie's back muscles just how much effort is going into those moves. Again, back into the relatively straightforward sequence. Straightforward to read, not straightforward to climb. You can see that tick mark out to the left on the same volume that Jessie's currently hanging on. That's where she's going next.
Deciding to take a bit of a rest. Not many points on the route where you find 2 holes next to each other like that with 2 relatively good foot placements. All things are relative, obviously. You can see how bad the right toe that she's got is. Firing up to the edge of the volume here. I have to say this section looks absolutely desperate.
How much of these climbers got left after what's been a brutally hard 4 days? Jessie didn't make it through to the boulder final, so that is 1 less round for her to have climbed in. But still, there's been a lot of volume piled on those fingertips and those biceps. What has she got left? So this was the final quick draw that she would have seen swaying, and it's still actually moving. It was the last one Julia got clipped. She headed out right, and then it was as she was pulling onto the head wall that we lost her. 30 plus her score. Jessie up to somewhere in the region of hole 28, now 29.
Just rested the left arm off that big heel hook she's got, and then switched and started resting the right arm. Good tactics through what is a really physical section. Really depends on the athletes, or how they train, how they like to climb, as to how much of a rest they take. Completely up to them to then make the calculation as to when to stay and when to go.
So that's a new high point for Jessie Pilz. That hole there is 31. That's the one that Julia Shanodi was going for. That's 32. So now Jessie Pilz just pushing the high point out further and further. Looking like the Jessie Pilz of old and going really well here, pulling onto the head wall. It does not let up from here on out. It is tiny holds, poor feet, awkward positions. If you read any of this wrong, it's hard to imagine being able to correct it. You've got to get your movements perfect. And you can just see her almost beginning to rotate off the wall. Went out left. And we lose her just entering the head wall.
Yeah, the right hand undercut that she had is particularly bad. Route saying almost you palm up into it. It's barely an undercut at all. And you could see that she was sort of caught in the 2 minds a little bit between getting the clip and going down to the next undercut, which is hold 36. Let's have another look. You can see there's really not much on that red sloper on the underside of the volume. You see the angle of her arm is almost at 90 degrees, gives you an idea. So you can't dig the fingertips into that at all. She has to really push up into it. Really pulling down with the left arm as hard as possible as well to push up into that volume. Really awkward wrist position. Fired down with the left hand to hold 36. Only got it with the fingertips. It's a good undercut, but it's not that good.
Yeah, Mike, you were having a more in-depth chat with the route setters. That top section, they were basically saying pretty hard to reverse. You've got to keep going, you've got to commit to each move, and you've got to read it right as well.
Yeah, I think...
Here comes Akiyo Noguchi. Absolute legend of the game. 14 years on from her first World Championship appearance. Here she is in her home country, her home city, in 2019. Took most of her 40-second observation period and now gets underway. 6 minutes begins for Akiyo. Second in the boulder final a couple of nights ago. So, as you would expect, climber of Akiyo's calibre, not struggling so far up to this third quick draw, but the route kicks in, and it kicks in very quickly. Absolute legend of the game, Akiyo Noguchi. 6 World Championship medals is an absolutely staggering haul. 1 in lead and 5 in boulder. 4 times she's been the World Cup season champion in boulder as well, and 5 times she's been runner-up. Quite amazing record, really. She's considered primarily a boulder, and she's got 58 World Cup boulder medals and 8 in lead. It's supposed to be her second discipline. She's got 8 World Cup medals and a World Championship medal. It's really hard to overstate just what a legend we are watching here in Akiyo Noguchi. Could she find that World Championship win in her so-called second discipline? We shall see. She's got a fight on her hands here.
Really nice, clean little cut loose, she says. Didn't let the legs pirouette behind her or twist at all. Just really quick, snappy feet back onto the wall and climbing really confidently through theirs. Barely used the little slot foot hold down low. She will use this next right foot now.
She doesn't betray how she's feeling on the wall much, Akiyo. Normally doesn't give much away, but I have to say she certainly looked like she found that traverse out left easier than the 2 climbers we've seen so far.
Yeah, she either found it easy, and that's why she was jumping around and being really quick between the holds, or she's starting to get tired and was trying to be as quick as possible.
We'll soon find out which one it is. Heading out right now. Onto the first of the 2 huge round volumes, which mark the highest point of this route before the head wall. You've got to traverse across them, and then you can pull onto the final panel. Ever so slightly awkward clip, but every bit of energy counts here. Swings the feet across. Crowd really beginning to get behind Akiyo Noguchi now. Just has to free the rope. Again, it's just that tiny bit of energy you don't want to use, but it doesn't seem to have slowed her down too much. So she's ahead of Julia Chanordi now. Up to hole 33. Now looks like she's really got a fight on her hands. Looks quite relieved to have got herself at the same level as that volume. It's so powerful when you reach your hand up above your head like that and turn the palm outwards. And she got out of that position as quickly as she could. Now, that's the hold where Jessie Pilz got to. Anything from there on out will be progress, and there it is for Akiyo. That's the lead for Akiyo Noguchi, so Jessie is not going to retain her title, and Akiyo Noguchi is setting a new high point. Again, can be really awkward to clip a quick draw when it's sitting right in front of you like that, but she's done well and is pushing on move by move into the head wall, setting the high point further and further as she goes. Akiyo Noguchi slaps up with her right hand towards hole 39. It'll be a 38 plus for her and a new high point. Mike, we've been watching this woman for the best part of a decade and a half. Since I first started watching climbing, Akiyo Noguchi has been there, and she is still doing it at the highest level.
Yeah, she just ceases to amaze every single time she pulls onto the wall. This is the top of the wall around her 38. The pump really seemed to kick in on that same sort of blobby undercut on the red hold out on right on hold 35. As she went down to hold 36, got the clip, was quite nice, but at that point there, as soon as she dropped into her right hand crimp, could really see the head was snapping back. The pump was absolutely real at that point. Akiyo Noguchi was definitely coming off on that next move.
Yeah, that hold she had the left hand on, obviously all things being relative, but by the standards of Akiyo Noguchi, probably not a bad hold, but she was so tired by the time she got there. Chaehyun Seo, next climber out onto the wall, the South Korean sensation. 6 weeks ago, most climbing fans hadn't even heard of her. They certainly have now. Chaehyun Seo has been tearing it up at the IFSC for the last 6 weeks. Entered 3 World Cups as we travelled through the Alps in July, in Villars, in Chamonix and in Briançon. And she won 2 of them. She was second in the other one. Quite incredible, but can she do it here on the biggest stage of all? This is the one they all want, the World Championship, the World Cups. Amazing. If you can win one, it's a lifetime achievement. But people really, really remember the World Champions, and Chaehyun Seo has the chance to continue a quite breathtaking start to her senior climbing career by claiming the title here. I have to say, she did not look as strong as Janja Garnbret earlier on. Was she saving something subconsciously? We will find out now. Her attempt gets underway. 6 minutes begins, cruising through the lower section. What can she do? It's Akiyo Noguchi who is leading the way as it stands.
As we said during the route observation, it's really been Janja versus Chaehyun this season. Can Chaehyun set the high mark? Can she beat Akiyo's score and really pile the pressure on the rest of the climbers?
It really has been absolutely breathtaking. Her father owns a climbing gym in South Korea, and I heard a few whispers about her, but even her, I have to say, her youth results wouldn't have suggested what has transpired in the last 6 weeks. She has gone from pretty decent looking youth climber to dominant force. It's been absolutely extraordinary, but after 4 days of competition, where the lights are brightest of all in a World Championship final, can she find what would be comfortably the biggest result of a pretty amazing 6 weeks?
I thought a route of this style as well, really endurance-based climbing, would absolutely suit Chaehyun Seo. Stage really is there for the taking. Really nice drop knee off that far right-hand blue volume. Controls the release onto the 2 crimps. Opts for the left hand, wrapped around that left hand volume rather than where the tick mark is.
Yeah, the problem is she didn't need to go up again with the left hand. I think she's just realised her mistake. It's more comfortable to hold that lower volume with the left hand, but the problem is you've got to bump it up again. No, she's deciding to stick with the right hand first method. Is this a mistake from Chaehyun Seo, or has she got something else in mind? Well, she looks pretty comfortable on what is frankly a pretty awful hold. Yeah. She had the method that worked for her.
Completely different sequence, but it did seem to work really well for her. In some ways it was slightly less risk, going off a good wrap. If you can get that volume with your left hand really well wrapped, it does make sense to go up with your right hand, as long as you can get a comfortable match. Just pause slightly through that sequence. So the route set is really saying this is a route you've got to keep going, just keep it fast all the way through.
Yeah, particularly on the head wall. Each move's quite committing. You've got to make your decision and execute it. No hesitation. It's a lot easier said than done. You can see she has got a fight on her hands already. Chaehyun Seo, teeth gritted as she pops up, chasing down the high point of Akiyo Noguchi. It was a 38 plus from Akiyo Noguchi. There you can see it. That was hold 38. She moved off it towards the next one, hence the plus. And that's where Chaehyun Seo is heading if she wants a high point. So this is where we lost Jessie Pilz, was just on this next undercling and then moving away from it. Chaehyun really fighting. She's giving this route everything she's got, trying to get some kind of rest if she possibly can. She's also got to clip that quick draw. No really comfortable place to clip it from. Gets it done though, and there's only one more left, and then it'll be the last one. But Chaehyun Seo really fighting here. She's up to hole 38. This is where we lost to Akiyo Noguchi. Are we about to see Chaehyun Seo set a new high point? She chooses to get the clip done relatively low down. That is the last quick draw. She can clip the next one. It'll be the top one. The last quick draw on the route. Clip now. Only the top one beckons, but she can't get there. And I think that will be the same score as Akiyo, probably a 38 plus again. Yeah, she went for hole 39, didn't quite latch it.
That'll be hole 38 plus. You have to hats off really, because she looked really pumped into that same section. Hold 34, 35, the big red quarter circle. Had some brilliant route reading there. She was kind of really starting to just swim between the different options of the handholds. She ended up going into holds 36, 37 in a completely different sequence. In the end, she made it work. It actually worked really well for her. She really managed to cut out one of the big moves by opting to go down and using that hold that she's actually got there with her right hand. She used that much earlier for her left hand, just to control the body position, get the feet really bridged across on those big circles on the left-hand side.
And that's where a bit of prior knowledge of the route would have come in very handy, as the scores flash up and you can see their chance to count back to the previous round, putting her ahead of Akiyo Noguchi. So Akiyo is not going to take World Championship gold. Sadly for her, the wait will go on. But yeah, Chaehyun Seo had a bit of prior information. She might have got that top sequence slightly quicker, but as it is, she is in the lead.
As we were saying during the observation, Charlie,
Mia Krampl just waiting to go. So Mike, thought we were about to introduce Mia Krampl. There she is. The venue MC just always makes us wait a couple of seconds, but Mia Krampl makes her way out onto the stage, and 40 seconds can begin for her individual observation. Sorry.
I will continue.
You had time to continue all along. I need to have a word with this MC.
Not to worry, just saying that what we've found there with Chaehyun on that top head wall, maybe a little bit of route reading error. You know, it's really tough to see those holds from the stage. Just make it tricky when you're up there. You're really route reading as you go.
Yeah, I think the information we were given before this route is really playing out. Cruising through the first 3 quick draws, then it really kicks in, and then on that top head wall, got to get your sequence right, got to commit to it. So it's as it stands, playing out as anticipated from what we heard from our route setting team. They would prefer climbers not to be separated on count back to previous rounds. They'd like climbers to push the high point a bit further, but as it stands on this evening's score, it is Chaehyun Seo tied with Akiyo, Noguchi, and Chaehyun Seo moving ahead on count back to the previous round. So Mia Krampl already been on a podium this year, albeit in Boulder, and consistently making finals in the lead as well. We've had 3 lead World Cups so far this season, and she has been in the final of 2. The battle for, we have to say, effectively Slovenia's second best female climber. I don't think anyone would take that as an insult when you look at who the best is in the form of Janja Garnbret. Is very tight. Mia Krampl absolutely up there. Vita Lukan, who we'll be seeing a bit later on, also in that battle.
Mia Krampl might have a little situation on her hands here as to how she gets this clip. She's gone through early onto the big red sloper, and these 2 massive sloping jugs that are facing each other. Ends up going back to the blue with the left hand. She had it with her right hand and went immediately into the left hand red before getting the quick draws. Has managed to reverse it and has managed to stay relatively composed during that struggle.
Now she takes a bit of a rest. Yeah, on a route as punchy as this, it might look like a very minor thing, but the last thing you want is to be going backwards, having to do moves twice.
Yeah, read that as a little cross through on those 2 crimps as well. Looks like she's just searching around for the different options here. It does seem to be slightly cryptic, this sequence. But be careful not to block the left hand there with the right hand. Oh, and interesting, goes all the way through to that top hold of that sequence, not directly to this undercut. Mia Krampl either has found some new ways of getting through the sequence or is just struggling a little bit on the sequencing.
So Mia onto the big round balls just below the head wall. And she's got to head out right on this traverse. It's now becoming pretty familiar. We've seen everybody navigate across it. We lost our first climber, Julia Chanordi, at the far end of it, but touch wood, everyone's made it across so far to either just below the head wall or just onto it. 38 plus marking the current high point. That's around 10 moves further on than where we've got Mia Krampl right now. Picked up a minor injury, knee injury in the Munich boulder final. Could actually do with 3 in the rope there.
Yeah, every climber so far has had a little bit of rope drag there. She does just try and free it up now. Inevitably, when she moves up to the next move, it tends to drop back underneath. It's just something else that the climber's got to think about.
It's just saying, picked up that minor knee injury in the Munich World Cup final, but still climbed her way onto the podium in a breathtaking show of bravery. So we know that Mia Krampl is not short of fight. How much has she got left? How much energy she got left after 4 very tough days of competition? Heading up now towards where we lost Jessie Pilz. Jessie, if it's to end now, would be on the podium, but Mia could surpass her here. That, as you can see, is where we lost Jessie Pilz. 35 plus for her. And again, I think Mia Krampl's got a bit of a battle on her hands, leaving that undercling.
Yeah, she's gone really high here. She's brought the left foot quite far up. The climber's had it down on the bubble below. She's managed to double wrap the underside of this quarter circle just to try and get something back. She has actually managed to find herself a pretty decent rest position there, but potentially she'll drop the left foot back down now. But doing well here, considering Jessie Pilz fell off this move.
Yeah, Mia Krampl looking super strong. That's the move where we lost the woman who was the reigning lead world champion, and Mia Krampl able to effectively rest on it slaps up for hole 38. Will we lose another climber on this 38 plus move, or can someone push through it? Mia Krampl's got herself in a fabulous position here. This has been the crux so far, going up to 39, and there it is. That's the lead for Mia Krampl so far. High point getting pushed further and further out, and she ends up pushing it one move further out. Mike, really impressive performance from her. There are a couple of very minor errors if we're getting picky, but superb fight on the head wall, had plenty of gas left and finds a new high point.
Yeah, as we saw in the Boulder World Cups this year as well, that she really does know how to fight hard. She puts her body on the line every time. Lower down, that hold 34, 35, and the hold right out to the right there, she managed to figure out and sort out this really nice rest, at which point she had to do this most horrendous foot swap on a low foothold. Somehow managed to punch into that sideball hold 38, where I was pretty sure she was going to fall off. Squeezed out one and a half more moves.
So Mia Krampl holds the lead. Mori in the doorway, ready to go, waiting to be introduced to the crowd. The spotlight is on her. Silence in the arena. Now the crowd and the music come to life as Mori makes her way out onto the stage. Had a really good lead season so far, and she's the third to last climber in this women's final. That means if she sets the high point, she guarantees herself a place on the podium. Nothing is guaranteed yet with 3 climbers still to go, but Mori could be the first climber to secure herself a medal. If she can't pass Mia Krampl's high point, match or surpass her high point, that means Mia Krampl's going to pick up a World Championship medal. Steady away through this lower section, as you would expect. Bit of pressure on the Japanese climbers climbing in front of a home crowd who've already had Akiyo and Noguchi. Now it's Mori.
So far this championships, the Japanese athletes have dealt with the pressure from the Japanese crowd really well actually. There's a huge media following. Every single one of these athletes is really in the spotlight here at this championships. Such pressure building up to the Tokyo 2020 games as well. Also held here in Tokyo, obviously. Every one of these athletes is just under immense amounts of pressure. To be able to climb at your hardest level in these conditions is very impressive. Goes up with that with the left hand. We're seeing others go right hand again to that one.
She knew exactly what she wanted to do.
Yeah, it's a really methodical way of doing it with the left heel. Let's go out to that left-hand sloper and cuts loose exactly the same as Mia Krampl. So let's see if which position she can get the clip in. Opts to get it off the left-hand side. Looks get it easily off the left-hand red volume as well.
How will she read this next sequence? Chaehyun Seo came up with her own method, and it worked quite nicely for her here. But, what's Mori going for? Actually,
yeah, Mia Krampl
going for a heel hook.
Mia Krampl came up with her own method as well, so we're seeing 3 or 4 sequences through here. All the different options of heels and toes available, that's what's making it possible to come up with these new hand sequences.
Looking a little bit pumped here, Mori. A couple of quite jerky movements, elbows just beginning to come out. And she recovers slightly. There's at least a slight change of scenery as you do this traverse, a few more rounded holes.
Yeah, opts to go feet first through to the right hand side rather than left heel. Mori's going to try and reverse this now, I think. In a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, Mori getting slightly tied up here. Tried to go feet first, but it doesn't seem to have worked for her, and I think she's going to have to release the feet, bring them back, and that is a lot of energy burn that she could ill afford. Got a real scrap on her hands, Mori here. Needs to get the quick draw clipped as well. She's
so
done well to extract herself.
So well, really tenuous left heel on that hold. It was over the top of her fingers. Surely that's going to hurt her though.
Well, if she can find a new high point from here after that, effectively doing 3 or 4 extra moves on the steepest section of the wall, it would be quite something. You can see she's biting down on her bottom lip, showing just how much effort's going in. Mori needs to free the rope. We've seen all the climbers. That frees itself. She finally gets a lucky break. Again, incredibly powerful. You put your hand above your head and then put the palm facing behind you like that. It's such an awkward position. Your shoulder takes all of it. And Mori doing fantastically to recover from a mistake in the traverse section here. More than 2 minutes remaining. She's got enough time to take a little rest if she wants one. This is where we lost Jessie Pilz, 35 plus. You can see Mia Krampl's high point of 39 plus. Above and left beckons. Mori really having to scrap now. She's looked pumped for about the last 2 minutes and she's still going. This is a fantastic effort. Home crowd need to really make some noise, give her some encouragement. So will the judges award her that? I think they will. She's, I think, been to hold 36 and then chosen to come back to 35. And we'll see how the judges viewed that one. Either way, she's back on 36 again. Needs to get the quick draw clipped. I think that's really the least of her worries right now, though, because she needs to get her feet sorted. Goes out left. Really, really battling. Mori looked like she was in real trouble, and yet she is still going. She's still fighting. Her face, the grimace, just showing you how much effort is going in here. And she bumps that left hand up hold 38. This is a really big move here up to 39. Has she got enough energy left? Her elbows are sticking right out. She is so pumped. That's where she's going for, 39. That's where we lost Mia Krampl. Mori goes for it and cannot quite stay there. Absolutely fantastic effort. She's got 56 seconds left. It's felt like she was in trouble from about 3 minutes ago. Just kept going, basically refused to give up.
Yeah, that is the sign of a true endurance athlete, an absolute warrior spirit on every single move there. Constantly trying to find a way through. In that top head wall, she went up, down, left, right. Ended up doing a full clock sequence with her hands going into the right hand hold, which she had with her left, like 2, 3, 4 moves before. Even when she got all the way out to disciple, somehow had a quick shake, just trying to get the tiniest bit back in the forearms, just getting those fingers to close just to go up to that next hold. And that hold 39, you can see how bad it is. If she held that, that would have been completely remarkable. A very, very thoroughly enjoyable battle to watch, that one.
Yeah, Mori, I think, will be glad to see that couch collapse onto it. So probably barely get her harness off. That was a massive fight from her. Here comes Vita Lukan, the junior lead world champion. She's never been on a World Cup or World Championship podium. Is today the day. Second of 3 Slovenians, and the only climber left after her will be Janja Garnbret. That does mean, by the way, that Slovenia are already guaranteed a medal. Mia Krampl will be on the World Championship lead podium just a couple of months after she picked up a boulder podium in a World Cup in Munich.
With 2 climbers still to climb all the way through to the head wall, potentially Vita Lukan and Janja Garnbret. There's a potential for a 1-2-3 sweep here for Slovenia.
Vita climbed really well in the semi-final, set a high point that stood for quite a long time, and in the end was only surpassed by Janja Garnbret. So she's on top form, but how much has she got left? Because it's easy to talk about how many rounds of climbing they've done. You've got to remember as well, the climbers spend a lot of time warming up, stretching on the warm-up wall. It's not just the climbing the routes themselves. There's a lot of physical preparation goes in as well that all saps your energy, and the big question really is how much have they got left?
That's the point I'm pondering, Charlie, how much has she got left? Because in the semi-final round she put in just this most epic battle, and you had a few hours to rest and recover, but I really feel like she used 99% of the fuel in the tank at that stage, so it'd be interesting to see if those few hours off, what she's managed to get back.
Yeah, obviously during the semi-final she had no choice but to give the route everything she's got. With hindsight, she could have done a few less moves and still made it through to this evening's final, but as I say, hindsight is a wonderful thing. But Vita needs to find a way to do that clip, and that is not the most comfortable position from which to do it. I think a bit like Mia Krampl, she might have to go back.
Yeah, Mori managed to get it really nicely off that little low right-hand foot that Vita's just gone away from and moved into this quite awkward position. See how much she's having to move around in the arms every time she loads them. It's just an extra bit of power just taken away from you. Really kind of jerky style. Doesn't opt to put the left foot down, goes powerfully out to the left.
Vita Lukan. You can see there when we saw a close-up of her face, really gritting her teeth. As you say, Mike, had a massive battle in the semi-final earlier on today. Goes for the wrap with the left hand, looks keen to try and get some sort of rest or at least a chalk up. And Vita, I think, has got a real fight here. Just beginning to shake slightly, betraying exactly how much effort is going into this route. Can't decide which way to go. Goes with the right hand, then brings the left up. Can she get a bit of energy back? Relatively early on the route, and she is looking pumped.
Yeah, managed to rest there. Needed it as well.
Yeah, she really did need it. Now looking slightly more composed. Recreational climbers will tell you when you've been as pumped as Vita was on the semi-final route, you can sometimes feel it the next day, let alone a few hours later. So how much energy she's got left is really the big question, but she's done well to recover slightly on what is not really a great rest. Now she could do with reading this sequence absolutely perfectly. We saw Mori burn a lot of energy here, tried to go feet first, climbed herself into a bit of a corner and had to reverse.
Chucked the hill really far over to the right hand side there. It's not in a great position, and all of a sudden she's really struggling.
Yeah, did well to match there, Vita Lukan, and get the right hand out. This is pure determination keeping her on the wall now. And you can see just how much effort is going in, and as she headed towards the head wall, just ran out of gas. And it's a fine fight from Vita Lukan. I have to say, I do wonder how much that semi-final earlier on took out of her.
I'm sure we'll see that sequence again, but she did exactly the right thing, which was just power the hill straight over the top of that volume. As soon as she did it though, she almost flicked it too far and it went right off the back of the right hand side of that volume. This is actually where she came off, at which point you could see just shoulders were tucked right up, both elbows were right out, muscles in the forearm absolutely popping out of the right elbow. She was in all sorts of problems, but it was around that hold 27 where she had her foot on that far volume. You can see the black rubber that's come all the way off that right hand side. As soon as you put it on there, I just thought instantly, oh, she's in trouble, that scoop's gone way too far. Differences like that, these are routes you just can't make mistakes.
And the spotlight now falls on the woman who has ruled over women's climbing with an iron fist for the last 4 years. It's Janja Garnbret. She's won the World Championship in Boulder twice. Last time in Innsbruck and here in Hachioji. She won the Lead World Championship in Paris in 2016. She lost it to Jessie Pilz in Innsbruck, and she is looking to get it back. There are not many records left for Janja to break, but winning 2 disciplines at the same World Championship is something that no woman has ever done. And it's one of the few things that still awaits Janja. Can she do it here in Hachioji? What a story it would be. She was relatively open about the fact that she really wanted that Boulder title again. She's got that. She said she wasn't even thinking about lead until the Boulder was out of the way. Well, she managed to switch focus pretty quickly.
Yeah, I have to say, I think she's got a point to prove here in this leading as well. You know, by her standards, not the best 3 lead World Cups leading up to this point, even though she won one of them. She really wants to show those who doubt her what she's really made of.
Well, I think a lot of people watching on, I have to say myself included, thought she would win most of the women's lead World Cups at a canter. Chaehyun Seo appeared from nowhere and has given us some very stiff competition. And as you say, Mike, Janja's got that look in her eyes that says, you dare to doubt me? Well, now we're about to find out.
Slight little slip there just to raise the heart rate a little bit of the spectators and of Janja herself. When you slip like that, you just got to quickly load the arms. It can take this sudden shock to the forearms and the fingers. I think she's recovered easily. Gets the clip really easily off that right heel as well.
Again, feet cut loose from Janja. Got the clip done, as you say, though. Now heads out onto the crimps.
Looks like she's going to go for the cross method, which we saw from Mia Krampl, Slovenian teammate.
Such tension here. The DJ only adding to things with some pulsing.
It's like a heart rate at 120 BPMs.
Nerve-inducing music. Don't think Janja will thank him for that. This just makes the moment bigger and bigger. No woman had ever won World Championships in 2 disciplines. Janja's already ticked that one off. She has the opportunity here to win a World Championship in 2 disciplines at the same World Championship. It would be an extraordinary event at the end of 4 emotional, physically, mentally draining days. Here she is on the lead wall, and in less than 4 minutes, we will know whether she's done it.
Janja can definitely do this, but she just needs to climb with total perfection.
Needs to read this perfectly. As I say, you can feel the tension in the venue. The crowd have suddenly gone quiet. The Slovenian team aren't doing that much shouting. It's as if everyone is just transfixed, silently watching Janja Garnbret to see whether she can do it. She's been amazing us for the past 4 years. This might be the biggest rabbit she's ever pulled out of her hat of all.
Really trying there, Charlie, puffing the cheeks. It's not often you have to see Janja trying at this stage in the route. Do feel like her power reserves are down slightly going into this final.
Again, could do with freeing the rope before she moves up. I don't think she's realised it might just free itself as she goes up with this right hand. She is definitely having to work here, Janja Garnbret. There's been times in women's league climbing where she's frankly cruised the routes, including routes in the final. This is not one of those occasions. She's got a real fight on her hands here. Just over 2.5 minutes remaining. She's got herself here quickly. There isn't really a lot of opportunity to rest, but I wonder whether she might try and pause on this next hold, where we've seen a couple of climbers pause. It's where we lost the previous world champion Jessie Pilz. Janja gets a clip done right in front of her waist. As I say, it can be slightly awkward that, but she's done it quickly. She didn't choose to pause at all. She wants to get on with this one. It's 39 plus she's heading for. That's 38. Janja Garnbret has climbed this route really quickly. There's the high point. If she can get to that hold and move off it, she will win back her lead world championship that she lost to Jessie Pilz last time out. Here she goes, that's hold 39. Needs to move off it. And that is Janja Garnbret winning back the lead world championship. The question now is how high she can get on this route. Every move just underlining her dominance. She's the Boulder world champion. She's now the lead world champion. Can she find the top? She pushes on towards hold 42. 45 would be the top. She can't get there, but she can win the lead world championship for the 2nd time. She's done the double. No woman had ever won a world championship in 2 disciplines. She's now done it twice, and she's done it here in Hachioji at the same world championship. Mike, we are running out of records for Janja Garnbret to break.
She really, really just knows how to win. She is an impeccable climber. She's got bags of endurance. She's got all the talent in the world. That route right there, she had to try really hard to win her world championships. Previous world championships, she put on a show. She topped the route. She's swinging around for glory. On that, she had to dig in on every single one of those top 3 or 4 moves. An absolutely spectacular moment in this lead world championship finals. Thoroughly enjoyable, and a well-deserved win. To go through into that final with that much climbing to get up to this point and still have something left to beat those 7 other athletes was truly remarkable. And once again, Janja, she is unbelievable.
Only climber to top both of the qualifying routes. Came top in the semi-final, comes top in the final. Janja Garnbret has absolutely dominated this lead final. She did the same in the boulder and got 3 tops, which nobody else could get anywhere near. There's been absolutely no question who the best climber has been in both the boulder and the lead this year.
Just before that point, that's the first time she hit the top of that blue triangle. Somehow she held that move 39 plus just where her knee is there. At that point, it was already in the bag, but she just kept digging and digging and digging. That top hole, that was hold 44 before the very big jump to the finishing hole. But at that point when she was on that propeller hold 38, the big red one, just before those blue selection of 4 blue triangles at the top, God, the nerves in here were so high. The tension was unreal. As soon as she hit that, even the slightest foot slip, it wouldn't have been enough. Somehow she managed to just chuck a quick flag behind her, chalking up, got both hands on hold 38. 39 is that awful crimp, the first one on the blue volume, and then just somehow squeezed it out. There you can see it. Climbing standards, wins by a country mile in the end, 43 plus compared to Mia Krampl's 39 plus. Great result. Mori finds herself on the podium with a bronze medal, 38 plus. Back to count back between her, Chaehyun Seo, Akiyo and Noguchi, all on 38 plus. Jessie Pilz, previous world champion from Austria, slightly disappointed with 6th. Kind of goes with the run of form that she's had this season already. Vita, Lukan, the third Slovenian, would have liked for a bit more considering she went into the final round in second place. Ends up in 7th with 30 plus. Joining her also on 30 plus, France's Julia Chanaudet. Excellent job from the route setters. Thoroughly enjoyable routes. Most climbers at least halfway up on the wall. There's a brilliant show of just pure power endurance. No jumps, no tricks, just who can climb the hardest. We will be looking forward to hearing from Janja shortly, as you can see them down in the winners area, down on the right hand side of the screen there, all of them together, and that's where you can see it. Mia Krampl 39 plus. It was actually really close all around those podium positions of silver and bronze between Mori, Chaehyun Seo and Akiyo Noguchi. Could have been anyone's game on that next move, that 39 up to that terrible little crimp on the right hand side. Janja Garnbret does it again. Hugs and applause all the way round. Very shortly we will be bringing you the interview with Janja, and after that just the small task of the men's final. We'll start with the men's presentation and observation. After that it will be 8 men who will be up next. There you can see the flower ceremony starts. Japan's Mori, what an epic battle she put in, an absolutely spectacular fight. Yeah, Krampl, biggest smile in the arena potentially. Such a good season for her. 2019, most definitely one to remember. But was it ever in doubt? And Garnbret goes away with another gold medal. The size of her trophy cabinet must be quite extraordinary. She needs to get her own warehouse for the trophies, never mind a glass cabinet. No matter how many you win, they all still feel good. Great scenes here in Hachioji. Janja Garnbret, not only boulder world champion 2019, also lead world champion 2019. First person to do that in the same championships. And we are ready to hear from the world champion now, Janja Garnbret.
Janja, when we first saw you at the IFSC, you said your dream was to win the World Championship. You've now won it twice in boulder and twice in lead. This must be beyond even your wildest dreams.
Yeah, I must say this is surreal. This is amazing. I don't know what to say. I was a little bit nervous before the route because I didn't know what to expect. I knew the route was bumpy and you just had to climb, so you could see in my climbing that I was a little bit nervous, but I did all I could, so I was happy with my performance, and that I win again and twice in this championship is just amazing.
And we've had 4 days of really hard competition. How tired were you? How tired did you feel on the route, or when you came out did you just feel great, full of adrenaline and ready to go?
Yeah, for sure. 4 days in a row is just or 3 days in a row, I don't know. It's just hard and intense. But I was psyched all the competition, and I just wanted to enjoy and give my best. So I could show that, and feels great.
Well, we've got the combined coming up, but worry about that some other time. We've got a rest day tomorrow. Huge congratulations, an unbelievable achievement.
Thank you.
So good as always to hear from Janja Garnbret. That does conclude the women's final. Smile cannot be wiped off that woman's face just there. All around the arena, people can see her at the front of the wall. All the athletes going in for the hugs and the high fives. Very shortly we will be on with the men's competition. Action still coming here tonight. 8 men battling it out for the World Championship in the lead, 7 of which have either won a World Championship or a World Cup already. The most brutal lineup in the men's competition. What is set to be a spectacular show on the right-hand side of the route. Route sets have done a really good job here in the women's competition, and we will see shortly if it can continue in the men's competition.
That concludes the Women's League Finals of the IFSC Climbing World Championships 2019 Hachioji.
Local MC here in the arena, just getting everybody to settle back down after the spectacular end in the women's competition. Everyone just building themselves up again. So hard to build back up after such an intense moment. The pressure on Janja in that final stages of the route was immense. DJ had this sort of heartbeat, repetitive beat just playing over and over as she was climbing on the route. Managed to block it all out and get the job done. How on earth, every single time she comes out, last climber out, Janja Garnbret has to top the route or get close to a top to win. And she does it time and time again. The sports psychology of the young Slovenian really is quite extraordinary. The pressure every time she stands in that doorway, every time she seems to manage to deliver. It's frankly ridiculous.
Yeah, just got back from the stage chatting to Janja. Apologies you had to wait a bit there. We were told she'd be available for interview pretty much immediately as soon as I got down there, and then the venue MC had his...
You're not getting on with him tonight.
Had his no, he's not. You think I'm not? Our producer was... murder was almost committed on the stage. We were waiting that long. But, yeah, it's... What can you say, Mike? Let's just... maybe easy if we just list the achievements. No woman has, before Janja, had ever won World Championships in 2 disciplines. She's now won in 2 disciplines twice. Here in Hachioji, she's done it in the same championship. No woman or man had ever clean swept a boulder season. She did that earlier this year. She's won the overall World Cup season title in 2 disciplines. No one's ever done that before. In the women, I should say. Adam Ondra's done it in the men, but it's... I don't know.
Well,
she's 20 years old.
She was tearing up the record books in the youth scene, and people were saying, "Oh, you've got to go and watch this girl, Janja. She's absolutely unbelievable." Then she just ditches the youth scene, goes straight into the adults. Got the record book, tore it up, set it on fire, stamped on it, covered it in mud, and then started climbing and just absolutely rewrit everything.
I mean, about the only thing she hasn't done is break the record for number of World Cup wins, but she's closing in on it already. She's 20 years old. I mean, she's won 4 World Championships. She could win 10. I mean, anyway.
Well, you're not even being unrealistic.
Well, I mean, if she keeps up this rate, she could retire at 25 and win 10. It's...
I have to say, if she retires, she's going to need a big house to put her trophies in, that's for sure.
I don't think they make trophy cabinets big enough. It is scarcely believable, and I think we talked about it a little bit before. After the bouldering season, we thought it could just be the Janja show in the lead. She absolutely destroyed the competition in the bouldering. Occasionally looked tested, but never really looked in doubt.
And it was the same here, let's be honest.
Yeah, and it was the same here. Chaehyun Seo came along, gave her the most unexpected of challenges, and we really saw Janja's quality shining through here. I think Chaehyun Seo maybe just a little tired, as I mentioned.
Well, but she wasn't in the boulder final, and Janja was.
She was, yeah, no. Yeah, hard to know what to say about Janja Garnbret. My advice would be, watch it and enjoy it. We've never seen anything like it before. We probably will never see anything like it again. Don't worry what I've got to say about it. Just watch, because it is absolutely breathtaking.
Just reflecting on her on that final route as well. Usually Janja has kind of got this really high risk, high reward style. She's jumping and flicking, and there's occasional foot slips, but she uses that to get really good momentum, full confidence on the route. This time, she really seemed to go steady. Like, there seemed to be this added pressure that she put on herself to climb the route in just the most perfect fashion. When I first saw her sort of midpoint on the route, I was like, you know, she's kind of climbing really differently. She's really focused, and I wondered if that was because she was really tired or pumped or suffering with bad skin or what it was. She just kept that style, just kept going, really methodical, really planned. Every single move just seemed to hit it perfectly. If you want an example of how to climb a final route, last climber out, that was kind of it from Janja.
Very interesting as well when I interviewed her that she said she was nervous. You know she's human. If you just watch it, it'd be very easy to forget she is. But I have sort of met her in real life. She's not a hologram or anything. She's actually genuinely a breathing person like the rest of us. But yeah, very interesting to hear that she was nervous.
Yeah, I think that plays into what I'm saying about the
yeah,
style on the route.
Yeah, exactly.
She's obviously not happy just winning the Boulder World Championship. She does, most people, if they won, they were Boulder World Champion, they'd go straight to the nearest bar and right off the rest of the week. But not Janja. She's a true athlete in every single discipline.
Yeah, and seemed to be mentally in the right place. I remember somebody who knows her well said to me something very interesting, and he said, Janja wins whenever she wants to win, and really the only person who can beat her is herself. And we have seen occasionally at the IFSC when she's already got, say, a season title in the bag, or she's found the routes a bit too easy, or whatever's going on, and she's not really been in the mood, and that's generally when she gets beaten. But there was something about her demeanour from the second we arrived here in Japan that just said, I'm having this.
I'm on for this. Yeah.
I'm on for this.
And that's
yeah, as I say, she will win every time she wants to, and I think today was a good case.
Let's not forget, there is more of Janja to come. There's going to be the Olympic combined first 7 athletes in the women's category will be decided for Tokyo this time next year. She could be climbing on the biggest sporting arena of all time, and
she would be worthy of it.
Yeah, and at the moment, let's see how that combined competition goes. But nobody's going to beat her.
I don't know if anyone will be betting against her. No, we'll see. We'll get there. But yeah, Janja Garnbret is the greatest female competition climber of all time, and I have to say it doesn't really look that close, to be honest. It's been a pleasure watching her down the years, and the great thing for us as spectators is she's 20 years old. She could have a relatively short career and still be doing what she's doing for another 5 years. She could. I do not exaggerate when I say she might win 50 World Cups by the time she's done. She could win 10 World Championships. There's almost no limit to where the records can go. It's been absolutely breathtaking. Mike, when I was heading down, I'm sure you were giving them a huge amount of praise as well, but also a big shout out to Mia Krampl. Second place, absolutely breathtaking, and talking about the Olympics, could be absolutely vital in potentially joining Janja as the Slovenian female Olympians.
Well, in terms of throwing a name into the hat as to the 2 Slovenians to go, I mean, she's done herself no harm here.
Well, Boulder World Cup podium, second place in the Lead World Championships. It's looking a pretty tight race there, but Mia Krampl done herself no harm at all. And also, Mori picked up a medal in the World Cups earlier on this summer and picks up a World Championship medal in front of a home crowd as well. Amazing stuff. Chaehyun Seo, who, as we said, has been the surprise package, to put it mildly, of 2019, ends up 4th. Akiyo Noguchi 5th, does not add to her tally of 6 World Championship medals. And Jesse Pilz, the reigning champion, coming here to Hachioji, ended up in 6th. Still doesn't quite look like the Jesse Pilz of 2018. I'm not quite sure what's missing. Just doesn't look quite as fit. Remember, of course, this year she is training much more for other disciplines than she was before, but still doesn't quite look like the Jesse of last year. She was 6th, and Vita Lukan 7th, and Julia Shanodi 8th.
Just a note on Jessie there. At the start of the lead season, when her results weren't quite where they wanted to be, I think she really wanted to make sure she got finals, then ideally podiums based on her 2018 results. Going into the World Championships at this point, 6th in the lead. It's not quite where she wanted to be, no doubt, but it's the top 7 in the combined that she's probably going to be focusing on now.
So, fantastic women's final. I had high hopes for it. I felt the route delivered. We had a couple of ties on that 38 plus move, but I think they did a great job of achieving what they wanted to, the route setters, which was separating the climbers on the head wall. Yeah,
what they purposefully did here, and this is based on previous experience from the season as well, especially from the head router Adam Pustelnik. His Villars route setting, he would be very self-critical. He has been, in conversations with us as well, that didn't go very well there for him. He's learnt from that. He's taken that on the chin, and he's done a fantastic job here so far. To go away with such criticism after the Swiss World Cup, and to come back and do the biggest job of all time and to so far absolutely nail it has been good. And what he did do was changed it up a little bit from the style in Villars. In Villars they tried to put these high risk, really flashy jumps in and everything, and this time they just went for some proper face climbing, crimp in, pinch in, couple of heel hooks, nothing special, and just get some really brutal pump going on in the forearms.
Yeah, and I think often the irony is we talk a lot about showy climbing. The best show is when you get 8 of the best lead climbers in the world, a brick hard route, and just let them loose on it and watch them fight, get the elbows out, get them grit in the teeth, get the legs shaking with the effort. That's the best show you can have, and I think the route setters, as you say, Mike, probably recognised that and thought, you know what, we don't need to be flashy. We've got the best climbers in the world, let's just give them a challenge, and I think it worked great.
Well, I think lead climbing itself is probably going to take a bit of a turning point here. In terms of the style of the route setting, I think this championships, it's gone back to where it potentially should be. There is always room for circus tricks and jumps. There always will be. But in terms of the overall style of the route, I think this is what the fans are looking for.
Yeah. Traditional lead climbing.
Route setters don't need us to tell them what to do. Absolutely, they are the ones who lead the sport. But yeah, they've really turned it around here, and so far so good.
Yeah, I think it's been absolutely fabulous setting. Adam Postelnik, it's very rare to see him make mistakes. He was the chief lead route setter in Paris in 2016, working alongside Jan Zabranek, who's also working alongside here in Hachioji, and they got it absolutely spot on for the men in Paris 2016. So same again here would be good. We are a couple of minutes away from the men being introduced. By my watch, we should be getting them brought on stage any minute now. But first, we've got another musical performance, I'm told, on the stage. In a couple of minutes' time, the band will be back up.
I think it might take the opportunity for a quick cup of tuna biscuit, Charlie, when the band comes on.
Yeah, they're getting paid to entertain. We'll let them earn their money. But we are hopeful of a similar men's final, that women's final, exactly what we want to see. Climbers battling, and ultimately the best climber winning. We didn't see any little slips. We didn't see anything strange going on, anyone that you consider unlucky. You kind of feel that everybody got to where they deserve to get to, and that's exactly what you want from a lead route.
I think you have to give credit where it's due when it comes to route setting. This is the hardest job in climbing, and you know, we've really given them the credit they deserve tonight. And one factor that goes into that is this wall itself. It's particularly short for them. They didn't have the best circumstances leading up to it. They were super rushed to set these routes. They were planning routes on the floor. They were pulling out all the pirate tricks to get this done in as short amount of time as possible, and they've managed to do it so far. Having said that, we've had 50% of the lead final. There's 50% still to go. That's a long time where things can go wrong. We do have our fingers crossed for them.
Well, they've absolutely knocked it out of the park so far. Qualifiers perfect, semi-finals perfect, women's finals perfect. Hopefully they can finish off. I have to say the men's route does look great, doesn't always mean much, but there don't appear to be any really obvious cruxes, and again culminates with a really good fight on the head wall. On the men's route they'll actually be traversing out left and then going straight up for a big jump to the top on the head wall. Be great to see our podiumists, a bit like on the women's side, all separated on that head wall. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for more of the same. In the meantime, we've had one of the truly great climbing performances from the woman they're already calling the GOAT, the greatest all time, to use a bit of American sporting parlance. Janja Garnbret hasn't had things her way in the lead World Cups. Very much had them her way here in the World Championships. She was absolutely breathtaking in the bouldering, didn't skip a beat, moved straight onto lead, climbed 4 out of 5 days, and is deservedly a double world champion. She's won both the titles twice, and she's won them both here at the same World Championship. No woman had ever done that before. It's fairly safe to assume that when Janja Garnbret comes out onto an IFSC stage, she's going to break a record of some sort, and she shattered one today. I think it's one thing to claim something like the most World Cup wins, but that might be broken, but she's been the first to do things, and that's something truly special as well. We might have IFSC competitions for the next millennia, and no one will ever do that for the first time again. So I believe Looks like the band are just about getting ready, and after we've seen the band in action, we will have the men introduce the crowd, and then they'll have their observation.
そしてこのファイナルを彩ってくれるのは先ほどと同じく黒マリオンの皆さんです。どうぞ大きな拍手を。
Band music, my favourite type of noise.
Exactly. Not good in my profession to be lost for words, but I think I am on this occasion. The band have done their thing, and we await the arrival of the 8 male climbers.
Representing Sweden, Hannes Puman.
From Sweden, Hannes Puman comes out. Last made a World Cup final in Arco 2017. Has never been in a World Championship final before. His coach said the next time he makes a final, he can have a haircut. I think he'll be off to the barbers first thing tomorrow. Here comes Stefano Gisolfi. 5 World Cup wins for him, but never on a World Championship podium. Not been a great season in 2019 for Stefano. He has a chance to more than rectify that this evening. It's been a good season for Jakob Schubert. Every season tends to be a good one for him. 2 times the lead world champion and the reigning champion from last time in Innsbruck. As a little bonus, he also won the combined in Innsbruck. Our other winner from Innsbruck, Kai Harada, he won the boulder there. He had his title taken away from him here in Hachioji. Might win a new one here on the lead wall. He's been in both boulder and lead finals already this year. Adam Ondra, 6 times he's been on a World Championship podium. That's encompassed 2 wins, 2 seconds and 2 bronze.
Representing Canada, Sean McColl.
Here's Sean McColl, 5 times a World Cup winner. Been at this an awfully long time, and all that experience showed in the semi-finals.
Representing Japan, Tomoa Narasaki.
48 hours on from being crowned Boulder World Champion, Tomoa has a chance to do a Janja and win the lead as well.
Representing Germany, Alexander Megos.
One of the greatest outdoor climbers in the world, who's fast becoming one of the best competition climbers in the world as well. Alex Megos looks super strong in the semi-final, found the high point, and his reward is climbing last in this evening's final. Now there's 6 minutes to observe the route begins. You can see they're climbing over on the right-hand side of the wall, and Adam Ondra, who, as I mentioned, 6 times he's been on a World Championship lead podium, first to test the holds. Lots of conversation between the climbers. Tomoa Narasaki, Kai Harada chatting. Everyone else right now doing their own thing. Adam Ondra scurrying around the stage, trying to see this from every angle.
Always interesting, Charlie, to see the different climbers as they come out onto the stage, the looks on their faces, the audience, us up on the live stream, people trying to figure out who's feeling what. I have to say, Hannes Puman initially looked pretty stressed, but then as soon as he saw the crowd just started to relax, he thought, yeah, this is where I want to be. I want to be on the World Championships final. And Kai Harada, he has that look on his face, he just looks under such intense pressure. Sometimes that's worked for him, sometimes it hasn't. World champion in bouldering from 2018. He obviously can deal with the occasion, and a couple of the other guys just laughing and joking. I have to say, Adam Ondra looked particularly focused tonight. Just 4 minutes 35 left of the observation period. See Hannes Puman from Sweden there, and Alex Megos. Alex Megos, the winner of the semi-final round. Just go and check out the start of the route. They are allowed to touch the starting holds. Particularly cryptic route, this one. Very, very hard set of power endurance moves. We will talk much more closely about the route as we get to see the 3D model after this observation period. The route itself, if you can imagine a giant question mark with a little flick at each end. That is the shape of the route, such as it goes in these giant curves from one side of the wall to the other. X on the wall there,
yeah.
That's a compulsory clipping position. You don't get to see that too much in the competition scene, but on this wall here, the quick draws have to be quite close, and at the bottom of the wall in particular, there's a slight danger if the climber comes off early that they'll come close to skimming the floor and potentially squishing the B-layer in the process. So the routes at a compulsory clipping position. You can't go past that hold before you clip that 4th quick draw.
There's a lot of horsepower right there. Jakob Schubert chatting to Adam Ondra. Both of them have won 2 lead world championships. Both gunning for a third one here today. Sean McColl as well joining in. Always enjoy watching observation. I don't want to say the politics, but just how it pans out is always quite interesting. Hannes Puman's now chatting to Alex Megos. Stefano Gisolfi has pretty much done his own thing most of the time, and 2 Japanese climbers, Tomoa and Kai, have been chatting away most of the time as well.
I think in many ways the climbers will enjoy what they're seeing here because it's not, from the ground anyway, I think it's okay to read. For these guys, they won't be sort of standing there thinking, I have no idea what that sequence is. It's so many times you get a sequence, is it a 360? Do I go feet first? Anything here, as we saw in the women's competition, relatively basic climbing.
Yeah, Adam and Jakob, 4 times they've shared a World Championship lead podium. It is a rivalry. It's a very friendly and mutually respectful rivalry, but yeah, it's been quite breathtaking, really, to share a World Championship podium in the same discipline 4 times between the two of you. It gives you an idea of just the calibre of climbers we're talking about. It's a bit of a close-up at the highest section of the route. There's very distinctive yellow and white volumes, quite similar to the fried egg volumes that we had in the women's semi-final earlier on.
I'm going to go for ice cream cones, keeping the food theme alive.
As you can see in the background there, time ticking away for the climbers. Sean McColl now going to the front with Hannes Puman and Stefano Gisolfi to have a good look at those starting holds.
Only climber out there to bring his chalk bag with him, chalking up on every bit of the observation.
Yeah, like we talked about. Yeah, we talked about this during the boulder, and you rightly said when you think about climbing, it makes you want to chalk up. And Adam has once again brought his chalk bag. He's constantly chalking up.
Yeah, I mean he thinks about every single detail. We did this in the bouldering observation as well. There's no point in starting the competition with bad skin, and if you can do anything to help that during the observation, then you might as well do it. All the climbers out there will have chalk in their hands before they start the observation. Many of them will just be a liquid chalk, and then they're kind of good for 6 minutes of actually not climbing. But Ondra, just every move, just like to chalk up, think about it. And it's all this muscle memory, it's all visualization. It all plays into his psyche of him climbing on the route. He's almost rubbing his hands like, whoa, come on. Let's get on with it.
Wants to get on with it, doesn't he? Again, Alex and Tomoa chatting together. Tomoa speaks very little English, which you would imagine would be a slight disadvantage. I mean, he knows. I've talked a little bit with Tomoa. He kind of knows the climbing terminology, but he will definitely miss a lot of the detail. It means you haven't really got the resource of talking to the other climbers in quite the same way. He'll be able to get the basics, but probably not the subtlety. So interesting to watch that, as you would expect. Kai and Tomoa mainly sticking together. That's how the line up for this lead final. Hannes Puman is out first. Nothing to lose and everything to gain. Really interested to see how he gets on with this route, and then from there on out, everyone competing is a World Cup or World Championship winner. Stefano Gisolfi, then Jakob Schubert, Kai Harada, Adam Ondra, Sean McColl, Tomoa Narasaki, and Alex Megos. If you asked most climbing fans to name their dream final, I suspect it would look pretty much like that.
Yeah, try and pick a winner out of that lot.
Predictions are out. I think Jan, you're a pretty clear favourite in the women's, but yeah, absolutely no idea with this men's competition. Could be anyone's. Hannes Puman has the chance to set that early high point, and then everyone else will be gunning to improve on it. Total of 41 moves on this route.
Let's have a closer look at this route on the 3D model then. Massive question mark shape, like I said, with 2 flicks at either end. Or a wobbly S I'm going to go for actually. Starts on these big yellow volumes down low, and it's really punchy right from the very beginning. Firstly trending right with that compulsory clipping position around quick draw number 4. Really hard from this point onwards. No tricks, but some very, very hard crimps. Slightly trending leftwards with some slightly cryptic crossover moves on these big pinches before moving into those free black volumes. Just hard undercuts and hard crimps. Big pocket in the middle of the wall before this massive traverse back right, where a very risky drop down move onto that big yellow foothold before moving into those free ice cream cones, bottom one with an extra jib on it. Then you do what is a 5 or so metre traverse all the way back left into those 2 top yellow volumes. Heading up into the big black fiberglass on the left, crossing over your right hand to an undercut and a big double tap for the top. 41 moves. This one could be pretty special, and that is the top hold.
That's where they're headed for. It is a big old hold, but you're in such an awkward position when you head for it. Mike, you know these holds very well. You are a professional route setter. Do you think if they get it slightly off top, they might be able to hang on to it, or do you expect that you'll need to get right on top of that hold to stay on it?
I mean, it does slope off really badly on both sides of that hold, on the left and the right. They're going to be hitting it on the left-hand side. I mean, it's a massive wanger of a hold. It's absolutely massive, but it's not really in-cut at all. It's got a slight angle, slightly off 90 degrees, but it's pretty slopey. I would think you're going to be pretty pumped by the time you get there. You're going to hit that. You need to hit that pretty sweet with 2 hands, I think. But it might be a case, if you get there, you'll just chuck your arm at it and just see what happens.
Yeah, one thing's for sure, after 4 days of competition and a World Championship semi-final this morning and a World Championship final route below you, you are unlikely to have a lot of spare energy. So I think, as you say, people will just be launching themselves at it if they can get that far.
I think all recreational climbers out there will know, if you get to a point where you just want to hang on to the next hold, you'll put anything on. You just wrap your forearm around there, you just do anything it takes. Chin, nose, knees, it all goes on board.
And remember, the climbers have to clip the top quick draw for it to qualify as a top, which we have seen at times this year. It can be actually a bit of a battle. Climbers can be so pumped they can't get a hand free to clip. So we'll see if that's an issue here. I think once you've got hold of that hold, as you say, it is enormous. Once you're on it, no matter how pumped you are, you should at least be able to get a hand off.
I have to say, just again, looking at this lineup, this route has to be so hard. It's even hard to understand how hard it is going to have to be to separate that field.
Well, the route setters obviously are well aware they're setting for a World Championship final, but when they watched that semi-final and they got the final starting list, they must have taken a pretty big gulp and thought, wow, every trick we've thought of to make this route a bit harder, I think we should employ, because this route somehow has got to separate Hannes Puman, Stefano Gasolfi, Jakob Schubert, Kai Harada, Adam Ondra, Sean McColl, Tomoa Narasaki and Alex Megos. Well, good luck to the route setters. If they pull this one off, it really will be something special. And there we can see the route silhouetted against the otherwise dark arena. That is confirmation of the women's results, and that is the men's starting list. So Hannes Puman of Sweden out first. As I say, quite amusing story. His coach said after he made the final in Arco 2017, you can cut your hair next time you make a final, which is why he's got hair past his shoulders, but he will be able to get himself to the barbers tomorrow in Tokyo. Might see him with a buzz cut next time we see him, which may well be in the combined.
Nice little highlights or something.
Yeah, you'd be a bit worried it's like Samson though, you don't want to cut it off. It might be the secret to the power.
Yeah. Or his coach might come up with a new ridiculous rule.
Exactly. Can't cut it off until you get a podium. Yeah, and it will be Hannes who's out first, and he's being made to wait a bit. I would imagine when you get in from isolation, you're already warmed up. You might have a couple more moves on that warm-up wall and then just want to get on with it. But as it is, he's being made to wait. This is encouraging, the fact we've got the spotlight on the doorway. And the Swedish climber will be out first. 6 minutes for him to climb the route, as well as his 40 seconds of observation time. Whatever he does, it'll be at a high point, and then he can just sit on the couches at the front of the stage and see if anyone can do better. Here he goes, Hannes Puma out. 40 seconds of observation time begins for him, and then 6 minutes of climbing time. Mike, we also ran into his coach earlier on today, and I said to him, what's the tactic? Surely you just got to enjoy it. And Hannes' coach said, yeah, just go and have fun. One thing he did say is, look at the calibre of that lineup. If you're going to get ahead of 5 of them and get yourself on the podium, you're going to need to take some risks. If it just comes down to raw fitness, raw climbing ability, the reality is it's going to be really hard to get on the podium just because of the strength of the field. And he said, so he'll be saying to Hannes, you are going to have to take some risks. And so take some risks, give it everything you've got, and enjoy the process.
Yeah, it's a really interesting insight. Just how many things that these climbers have got to think about, not only the sequences, measuring the fitness on the route, how much power to use when, what techniques to use. Think about the mind games as well.
Well, I think it's really good advice from Hannes' coach. There's no point saying when you're in only your second senior final and your first World Championship final, there's very little point saying to him when you're up against Jakob, Schubert and Adam Ondra, yeah, you're the strongest guy in this field. You've got to say to him, right, come on, if you're going to beat these guys, you've got to do something really special, so let's see it.
Yeah, it's going to have to be special on this route, because you can see straight away this looks absolutely brutally difficult.
Yeah, he was actually grimacing, basically pulling on and getting to the first quick draw. It's a savagely hard route. It's what we were told we were getting. It doesn't always translate. Sometimes the route setters can say, yeah, it's desperate, and it doesn't turn out to be that way. But this one looks like it's absolutely every inch the World Championship final route.
Yeah, really nice little pop out to that sort of dog bowl, black hole, the dual texture one. Little cut loose just to start engaging the core, engage the arms a little bit.
Hannes Puma now just settling down a bit, had a couple of really hard moves. As you can see, those blue X's, that blue X next to the hold denotes that you cannot go beyond that hold before clipping the quick draw that is marked with the blue X. So that's what it's for. We mentioned it earlier on, it's a safety issue because you're quite close to the ground down there. So Hannes safely through that, and you can see still grimacing, absolutely battling. I think trying to climb as quick as he can, any rest, have a quick shake out, quickly chalk up and then get moving again, a bit like that.
Yeah, a route of this nature, you've just got to go, 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 go. Don't delay on every single hole, just keep pumping between each of the holes, left, right, just keep it going.
41 handholds in total, and that is him past halfway, reaching over to hole 24.
Yeah, a little high risk drop down move here. You're going to probably lose a left hand, he does, before dropping into this undercut. Cool little move there, just to just spice it up a little bit, just change it up a little bit. Good hole, but dropping down to the foot to that big ledge that he's on at the moment.
Hannes Puma going really well here. It gets very, very burly this section. Not really small holes, you're just kind of battling with these big volumes, and it takes it out of muscles that you wouldn't imagine you'd need for climbing. Your core is engaged, your hips are engaged, your whole body's engaged, just keeping you on the wall. You've just got to squeeze these volumes, hug them, and he just can't quite manage it. And just as he went for the quick draw, I think just lost the energy to stay on the wall, but a great start from Hannes Puma. He's set the early high point, and we go from there.
It's 10 out of 10 for the dismount as well. Yeah, good fight from Hannes there, and a good insight into the bottom of the wall. He was up around hole 28 when he came off, 27 plus.
And the last time we saw our climbers in lead action in the Briançon World Cup, just under a month ago, the first climber out, Hidemasa Nishida, ended up winning the competition. Set a high point that wasn't matched. So Hannes Puma will be taking inspiration from that, I'm sure. Set the high point, he'll sit on the couch on the front of the stage and watch.
I think he can be pretty proud of himself there, Hannes. He didn't make any big mistakes.
No, climbed that really well.
Climbed it well. It was kind of perfection in terms of technique. In the day, it was just the pump that beat him, unfortunately.
Stefano Ghisolfi makes his way out onto the stage. 5 times a World Cup winner, but he's never been on a World Championship podium. He has not had a great season in 2019, but he's put himself in a position to do something about it in a big way. 2018 and 2017 came second in the overall standings in the lead World Cups. What can he do here in Hachioji? Almost a climber with nothing to lose after the start to the season he's had.
Yeah, by his own admission, he's had an absolute disaster first 3 lead World Cups. He's happily to say that himself. is this the moment where he can kind of really redeem himself on the biggest stage of them all. He's made simple basic errors at the start of some of the routes earlier on in the season, so I think he'll be a little bit nervous going into this finals route, but he has climbed well in this championships up to this point. Yeah,
I agree. What he's, I think, been guilty of at times this season is just overcomplicating routes, thinking there's a trick where there isn't. This is a pretty straightforward route, you would imagine. Obviously not physically straightforward, but we don't think there's many tricks. There's no 360s, no odd little jumps, no weird moves, no feet first. It's a pretty straight up resistance route. And I think if Stefano just bears that in mind, this is a route I know how to climb, I've got the fitness to do it, we could see a big result from him.
Yeah, he has got this little flick move up to the sort of big dog bowl you can see up there. Just a little bit of hesitation before he goes, opts to go off the right foot.
Looks so strong when he does get there.
Yeah, no issues.
Yeah, it was like a vice closing when he got up there with the left hand. Quickly got the right hand across to join it. He got the compulsory clip done from the compulsory hold.
Wondering if he's just calculating whether he needs to bring his foot in before crossing over. He doesn't. Now he brings it in.
Stefano really good at these traditional lead climbing routes. Not always too into the tricks, not into the showy stuff. He's good at just fighting hard on bad holds for several minutes. And he's got the opportunity to do just that here in Hachioji.
Try really hard off that stand-up because he did the whole thing off the right heel. He was wobbling for a second there, just trying to bring the left foot in to join it. Oh, it's so hard to gain height off a heel hook.
So the high point was set at 27 plus by Hannes Puman. He knew to climb, and that means he got to hold 27 and then made progress towards the next hold from it. There you can see it being highlighted, 27. So he got there and was on his way up from it when he fell.
At this point here, Hannes Puman was really motoring, kind of really going really snappily, really quick between the holds. Stefano's just milking a bit of a rest here.
Yeah, I can't say I was watching the clock actually for Hannes, but he was definitely here earlier than Stefano. And again, that's a nice move from the route setter. I quite like that. The climber's forced to just cut loose and go onto the right hand. It's only for a split second, but you're willing those feet to land all the way down. Bosch is up with the right hand. Needs to get the right foot out. Could do with getting this clip done, I think. Hannes struggled to get a hand off to get the clip done. Stefano really got right on the nubbin of that volume, and that's really the place to hold it. But again, needs to free a hand up. He's got his left foot on a dual texture hold, and he's got it on the bad bit. Now he can't climb beyond the last clippable point for that quick draw, so he needs to get it done sooner rather than later. If he goes any higher, I think the judges might feel he's beyond the clippable position. Now he gets it done. Those long, fiddly quick draws, has to throw it away and get himself reset. Stefano Gasolfi's got himself in a bit of trouble here with this clip. Somehow needs to get a handoff long enough to control that extender quick draw, get it clipped. And it's all energy, doesn't want to be burning. If he got it clipped earlier, he might be all right. Goes up with the right hand. And he'd been climbing well up until that stage, but I think if he had his time again, he might have got that quick draw clipped earlier on. Slight mistake from Stefano, and then he just really couldn't get a handoff long enough to get it clipped.
Let's have another look. He's got that volume really well wrapped with the right arm, but he just couldn't find a position to take a handoff properly to get the quick draw. And in the end, he just ran out of options, just tried to go for one more move. A season just riddled with mistakes. Proves once again, you've got to think about the clips as well as the moves. So easy just to pass by a quick draw like that, thinking it's going to be okay. When you get into the next position, all of a sudden you hoik your feet up and you realise you're in big, big trouble.
Stefano Gasolfi, I'm sure, was over the moon to make it through to the final. Might have had a little more to give if he'd navigated that quick draw any better, but effectively at this level, clipping the quick draws is basically a move in itself. And just made a little mistake, and now comparing notes with Hannes Puman. Jakob Schubert in the door, ready to roll. He is the reigning lead world champion. It was the second time he'd won it. He also won the combined, the first ever Olympic format combined world championship in Innsbruck. He is an absolute warrior. On paper, the most successful competition climber in men's history. 21 World Cup wins, 18 in lead, 3 in boulder, 2 lead world championships, the only Olympic format combined world championships that's been contested so far. Of course, we have another one this weekend, but as I say, on paper, climbing's most successful male competitor, and he really knows how to compete. We've been talking about it quite a lot this week. He's been climbing 4 days in a row. He picked up a silver in the bouldering, which he'll tell you is his second discipline. Well, if it's second discipline, watch out world on this lead route. Jakob Schubert, an absolute battler. He made a route reading mistake in the semi-final, but did just about enough to make his way into the final. What can he produce here? He'll need to be perfect. Fatigue is certainly an issue, but nobody out there, literally nobody out there, fights as hard or is quite as canny as Jakob Schubert. This could be truly spectacular.
Let's get ready to go 12 rounds with Jakob Schubert. The sort of mood that he's in with how much effort he's had to put in to get to this lead final.
He's an absolute scrapper, Jakob Schubert. Sometimes don't feel he gets the praise he deserves. He's the most wonderful competitor. Just knows how to win, knows what's required, physically, mentally. Seems to be able to measure it well, doesn't make many big mistakes, and absolutely desperate to make it 3 World Championship lead titles. To win 1 puts you in the history books, to win 2 puts you in very elite category, and if you can win 3, you really are something special. Only Francois Legrand has ever managed it in men's lead. That was back in 91, 93 and 95. Jakob Schubert, and I should add Adam Ondra, with the opportunity to do it here tonight.
Jakob taking a massive rest already here. Had to use a lot of power to get through that initial section. I think he would have liked to get through there a little cleaner.
He's definitely tired, Jakob. Again, we talked to him immediately after the semi-final, and I said, "You recovered yet?" And he went, "Oh no." He really got pumped. He had to give the semi-final route absolutely everything, and the feet just cut in loose air from Jakob. He's done well to get them back, and very quickly regains his composure. Vastly experienced, probably won't let anything like that shake him too much. But it's just not what you need, that little foot slip. Just introduces that little bit of doubt into your mind.
So Charlie looks just like he's really fighting, almost from the second quick draw. So much fatigue, even going into this day's worth of climbing. Managing to get a bit of a rest back here though. There's that big foot slip. He did exactly the same as Stefano, trying to go up high off the heel. Had to really force it into the undercut just before the volume that he's in now.
Yeah, really regained his composure, Jakob. Just had a split second with the feet cut loose. A lot of encouragement coming from the Austrian team. As you'd imagine, they're right down the front, shouting up at Jakob. And they're slightly awkward on that step down, kind of left the left hand behind a little bit.
Yeah, dropped onto the left leg rather than the kind of closer right leg on that one. It was quite interesting.
So now he's up onto the volumes. Remind me what we're calling them, Mike.
Ice cream.
Well done, thank you. There's hole 29 that Stefano Ghisolfi got to and moved off from, and Jakob has got the clip done. So that was the clip that caused Stefano Ghisolfi so many problems. Those long extender quick draws are really hard to clip, especially if you're anywhere above or level with them, and Jakob did well to get it clipped from low down. So here he goes. That is hole 29. If he can get another hold, yes he has, and it's a high point. So Jakob Schubert now in the lead and pushing the high point out. Now he's basically going to do a huge traverse out left here. It's pure resistance climbing. It comes down to fight, it comes down to desire, and Jakob Schubert is generally not short of either. Will cross down and under. You can tell he's really pumped now, but he will not give up until he has got nothing left. And that came in around hole 33, 34. We'll wait to see how the judges score it, but Jakob Schubert sets a new high point. He looked tired really from when he set off, and I am not surprised at all. Climbed in the boulder qualifiers, climbed in the boulder semi-finals, climbed in the boulder final, picked up a silver medal. The next day comes back for lead qualifiers. Today it's been lead semis and lead finals. I'm not surprised he's tired, but you would expect nothing else from Jakob Schubert other than an absolute battle. To be good at climbing, you've got to be strong in the mind and strong in the arms, and Jakob Schubert is a beast in both.
Really good battle in this. You can see this traverse, how huge it is all the way from the right to the left, and just really dirty crimps to get across there on these couple of small little volume footholds. They really don't give you too much, and they're really got hard to put the power down through these sloping angle volumes on the feet. At that point there, if you're that pumped, they are really not going to offer you anything.
Here comes Kai Harada.
Next climber.
Was the reigning boulder world champion from Innsbruck, had his title taken away here in Hachioji by Tomoa Narasaki. 40 seconds to observe the route and then get cracking. He's been in both boulder and lead finals so far in the World Cup season in 2019. What can he do in the World Championships in his home country where the lights are brightest, the pressure is highest? We are about to find out. Can't be far off having used up his 40 seconds. And before he is prompted, he gets himself over to the wall. So Jakob Schubert currently leading the way. I have to say a slightly tired looking Jakob Schubert, but a slightly tired looking Jakob Schubert is still stronger than most climbers out there. So we'll see whether his high point can be matched and passed. And it's Kai Harada who's got the first opportunity to do just that. Already committing moves up to these dual texture volumes. All these volumes that you can see on the wall, anywhere there's white, that's very low friction. Anywhere it's black or yellow, high friction, but it just gives you something else to think about. Means you can't always put your hands and feet exactly where you might want. That one in front of Kai, a classic example. No friction on top of it. You can see he's got his thumb on top of it. And on this one as well, the outside of that hold is also low friction.
Kai Harada never seemingly lacking in confidence as he climbs on these routes. Sometimes he's a bit overly confident and makes mistakes, especially in the feet.
Really emerging as a genuine all-round contender. We've talked a little bit about the Olympics. Who will be going from Team Japan? They can only take 2 men and 2 women. Thought Kai Harada might not be too far off booking his place with his performance here in Hachioji, and last World Championships in Innsbruck, as I said, already a World Cup finalist in 2 disciplines in 2019, emerging as a real force. What can he do on this traverse? He's climbed really well so far.
Yeah, no foot slip down on that lower yellow volume as we saw from Jakob, so he managed to get through really cleanly. All of a sudden you can just see him picking up the pace. Opts just to have a rethink. Gets the quick draw instead.
That's not the one that's been causing the problems, it's the next one, that one closest to our camera. Yeah, as I say, those long extended draws can be really awkward. If they start swaying or if you miss it first time, it can be really hard to get the rope in. So you've got to try and deal with them in the most comfortable position you can. Doesn't really like the look of this drop down, now he does it. Clever piece of route reading. All the climbers have found it. It's the kind of move that would stop the recreational climber. It's a really awkward move to read, and Kai was the first climber that didn't quite get it right, but still found a way. Now he hasn't got that quick draw clipped. You can see it's at full arm's reach, which makes it slightly awkward, but he did well. Choosing to take a rest. I think he's probably quite correctly sussed out that this upper section is immensely physical, and if there is anything resembling a rest, now is the time to take it. Trying to hug those ice cream cone volumes. Went up towards hole 29 and just dropped it. Bit of a surprise there for Kai Harada. I have to say, didn't look anywhere near as tired as some climbers we've seen up there.
He wasn't giving much away there, Kai. He was taking that rest and he looked really composed, but I think he was actually really pumped. You know, in his facial expression, his legs, arms, nothing was really wobbling, so you couldn't really tell what was wrong. But clearly, if he was in that position trying to take a rest, which isn't the ideal resting position, it was actually because he was pretty gassed at that point.
This was low down on the route. So Kai Harada, that puts him in 3rd place for now, 28 plus, moves ahead of Hans Pumann, but still behind Jakob Schubert and Stefano Ghisolfi.
Tried to do it off the really high left foot there. We've seen others do it from the lower foot, actually where he had his right foot. You see that little wrist wrap really puts you in the best body position, really hanging off the joints of the wrist rather than have to pull really hard in the hands. Right hand wrapping right lat is definitely the best way of holding those 2 ice cream cones.
And that is 4 very tired climbers enjoying a nice soft couch. That's how they sound right now. It's Jakob Schubert leading the way, 33 plus. Stefano Gasolfi, 29 plus. Kai Harada, 28 plus. And Hannes Puman, 27 plus. Great job from the route setters so far. We talk about separation, how we don't want the climbers to fall on the same move and then have to go to count back or time. We want the climbers to be separated on moves, and that's exactly what the route setters have managed to achieve here. 4 climbers still to go. Adam Ondra, Sean McColl, Tomoa Narasaki and Alex Megos. What a lineup. 2 double world champions still to come in the form of Adam Ondra and Tomoa Narasaki, albeit Tomoa's wins have been in Boulder. Talk about who might go to the Olympics from Team Japan. You'd have thought Tomoa Narasaki about as close as you can get to a nailed-on one for Team Japan. I know competition is so fierce, but surely Tomoa's got to be up there. But it might not qualify. Might have an absolute disaster. You don't know. But surely about the only Japanese climber that might feel relatively comfortable that if they qualify, they'll make it. So let's have another look at the 3D model. Talk us through this again, Mike. We've seen a bit of the route, but not all of it yet.
Yeah, what we're starting to see, that it's relatively powerful, but okay to get into those top 3 triangles before we start heading back right into the ice cream cones, at which point you've got this massive right to left traverse on these really bad crimps. Just at the start of the route, you can see how low down to the ground it is actually. Route setters employing all sorts of different length quick draws there just to get the safety of the route right before punching in. Like we said, this is a 12 vertical metre high wall, climbs around 15 metres if you were to go straight up the panels. The amount of overhang there is 40 degrees in the middle. There's that big left to right section before you get onto that first cone. First cone luckily has a little jib just screwed onto it just to give something back to get that clip. That's where Stefano was definitely struggling before moving all the way around. That's hold 33 and 34. There's 2 little black triangles you can see with the 2 black triangles matching pair for the feet. Will we see anybody up there? 4 climbers still to go, one of them being Adam Ondra.
He's in the doorway, he's ready to go. Adam just being made to wait. The spotlight is on him. He won't be able to see the crowd at all with that light in his face, but he'll know they're there and he'll hear them as soon as he emerges out onto the stage. Here comes Adam Ondra. Twice he has been lead world champion. He missed out to Jakob Schubert last time in Innsbruck. Can he become the first man since Francois Legrand in 1995 to win 3 lead world championships? Hope he's topped his chalk bag up. He used a lot during observation, let alone on the route.
A man with big hands and a very small chalk bag. Interesting, just starting with the rope in his mouth. You don't see that too often.
He thinks of everything, Adam Ondra. Talk about a cerebral climber.
Yeah, I've never seen him actually do that before, so he's obviously calculated this first move that is a good place to do it, because he pulls on and goes straight into the quick draw. Almost
he thinks
making
of
the draw
everything, yeah.
First move.
So Adam Ondra, he gave us one of the greatest moments in IFSC history in the Paris 2016 World Championships. Last climber out, last event of the competition, topped the route, knocked it out of the park. Can he do the same again here?
Just watch the speed of Adam Ondra as he works his way through these moves. Well known for his really fast climbing. This is the sort of route that surely should suit him. Just got to deal with the fatigue from the bouldering. Got to deal with the nerves. If anybody can deal with all of that, Adam Ondra is definitely up there as a candidate. Opting to rest off the top of that hole that's completely smooth.
Yeah, really unusual rest place. Dual texture hold, as Mike said, there's almost no friction on top of that hold. It's more or less useless. Adam managed to get a rest out of it.
I'd say this section coming up is the first real sort of nerve-wracking moment. Climbers are using a right hill occasionally here. There it is. And then it's a hard punch up to this undercut. Just off that left smear, makes it look okay.
Most extraordinary climber to watch, Adam Ondra. It's almost robotic. Left leg, left hand, right hand.
Every
the moves just keep coming.
Perfect.
Yeah, keep coming. Immense accuracy, but combined with immense speed. and already he's not even been off the floor 90 seconds, and he's traversing rightwards across to the quick draw that's caused a couple of problems so far. That's not the one, it's the next one. There it is with the yellow tape.
Yeah, briefly squeezed in a knee bar there as well. Manages to keep the left hand on whilst dropping down to that foothold, so slight height advantage on that move.
Czech team coming to life. Adam smashing up with the right hand.
It's fully crimping that black dual texture undercut as well. Other guys have been open-handed on that, so he's really locking in the crimps.
He's got the clip done early on as well. I think he might live to be very pleased about that when he realises what's still to come above. Hasn't really taken many rests at him. He's chalked up a couple of times and shaken, but we haven't really seen him stop. And I have to say, I don't think we'll see him stop from here on out, because it just keeps on coming. There's hold 29. It's 33 plus that is the hold to reach and move off from. That's the first of those two small triangular volumes. There's a big triangular volume, and then the one immediately to the left of it. That is number 33. That's where he's got to head and move off from if he wants to move on from Jakob Schubert. Now we can see it. Adam Ondra, he's safely onto the head wall. He's used very little time. If there are any rests to be had, he's got plenty of time to make use of them, but I don't think he'll find any up here. It is small hold after small hold. There ain't much there for the feet. Again, you can see dual texture holds, slippy on the white bits, useful on the black bits. Now he's crossing under. That's 33. Can he get one more move? That's 34. Adam Ondra's in the lead. Adam Ondra takes the lead here in Hachioji. Looked like he might have had a little bit left, but that route didn't half kick in on the head wall.
Yeah, he got really in a really awkward position. He went from hold 28 straight to hold 30, then back down to 29 with the left hand. Higher up on the free ice cream cones, got himself in all sorts of trouble. Managed to rescue it a little bit with this kind of really awkward leg rack around the corner, which if he didn't get, I think he would have been off earlier. Then on the traverse, again, he looks massively bunched. Look how bunched up he is there, crossing over, but his legs completely doubled up. At that point there, he just came and trying to get the next hold 35, just to get something, end up with 34 plus. Really didn't suit him, that top section at all. He just got himself in a... It's just amazing how quickly a route can go wrong. He looked absolutely in cruise control up to the second ice cream cone, got that little black crimp, at which point it went straight to the top one, which was really awkward, and you have to really do something special with the feet. Not ideal there for Adam Ondra. I think a bit cleaner route reading and he would have been okay. Adam Ondra, potential was the one to take this one away, but he's left the door open here.
Here comes Sean McColl, legend of the game, been at this an awfully long time. He'll turn 32 not long from now, and he's going to need all that experience to deal with this route. It is a massive challenge. It's already stopped Adam Ondra, it's already stopped Jakob Schubert, it's already stopped Kai Harada, Stefano Gasolfi and Hannes Puman. What can Sean McColl do with it? He'll have 6 minutes to tackle it.
McColl is known for this absolute spectacular style of his. Let's see if this route suits his sequencing, his speed.
5 times a World Cup winner. Sean, no World Championship wins to his name. He's got something left after 4 brutally hard days. Now is the time to use it.
Sean didn't feature in the bouldering final, unlike Ondra and Schubert. Potentially just a little bit fresher going into this finals day.
Especially given how hard those boulders were. Not attempting them will definitely save you a lot of energy.
Slight hesitation before going into that sort of low dog bowl move, going to a leg wrap. Do you see that occasionally from Sean? He really gets the body involved.
Keep on motoring. He's only been climbing for a minute, but I bet he's felt every second of it.
Just checks the positioning of that hill and does opposite it to turn it to a toe. A pretty bad foothold, that one. Big force across. I reckon he felt that one.
Yeah, it's often a bit of a high risk, generally high reward style from Sean McColl. That move had to be accurate and was, using all his experience. competed in well over 100 World Cups. Several years ago that he competed in his 100th event. And that's not even counting the World Championships. He's been around an awfully long time. I think he might be around for a while longer as well. Legend of the game, now heading out right.
That was really clever there from Sean. Got the rope on the right side of his arm straight away before he even dropped into that next move.
We talk about Adam Ondra being cerebral. There isn't much that Sean McColl doesn't consider in his preparation and his climbing. Could do with getting that quick draw clipped if he can.
He's not happy with this move.
Just shouted himself, actually, Sean. We just saw him from our wall-mounted camera, you can see there. Just let out a shout, I think of frustration. Also just keeps the adrenaline pumping. Wraps his feet around that volume out to the right. And trying to find a way to get established on these ice cream cones. And a bit like Stefano Gasolfi, needs to bear in mind the quick draw.
That's exactly what Ondra did. But Ondra had the draw already clipped.
Oh, and he went out towards hole 29, Sean. And I think, did the feet give way? It seemed to happen very quickly. Almost clobbers someone just off the side of the stage. And hard to gauge his reaction. I think a little bit of frustration from Sean. Let's have another look when he fell. What happened here?
Yeah, at this point here, he's really digging in on the right heel, just tries to find something for the left. Right hand is absolutely awful at that point. It's kind of all things went wrong at once there, I think, and no chance of recovering from that one. Let's have another look from a different angle.
I think he put the left foot on and trusted it before it was actually right where it needed to be. I don't think it was actually, I think, just off to the side of that tiny black hole rather than right on top of it.
Combination of that and trying to move to that next left hand, hole 29 at the same time. Really interesting. This quick draw is really proving to be a bit of a crux on the route. Not necessarily clipping itself, but the position you try and clip it from seems to be causing all the trouble.
Well, Adam Ondra is going to continue this incredible run, by the way, because we've only got 2 climbers left. Tomoa Narasaki now makes his way out to the stage. He's won 2 Boulder World Championships, including one a couple of days ago right here in this arena in Hachioji. Could he do what we're, I'm afraid, going to have to christen the Janja and win them both at the same championship? We should point out Adam Ondra did the same thing at 2014, but that year the championships were split. They're in different venues over the course of the same week, but the climbers moved cities. So Tomoa gets underway. I was about to say, Adam Ondra keeping up this quite breathtaking record. 2009, 2011, 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018, and now 2019, he has been on the World Championship lead podium.
Skips the intermediate straight away for the right hand. There's a small little crimp that he just bypassed straight away.
So Adam Ondra guaranteed his place on the podium. He's in first place right now. Tomoa again choosing to clip lower than the compulsory clipping point.
Yeah, I think that's a slight mistake really. He's clearly very strong and straight armed on that little crimp. He's now got his right foot on. He could have got the draw from there, but chose to actually strain quite hard off that lower hold. This is the route. Really minutiae details seem to be making a difference. Opts for the hill. Sean went off the toe. Now changing to the toe. That's better for coming into the undercut. Again, big flick of the hips out to the right.
Climbing at around the same pace. Just keep an eye on the clock. Keep it about the same pace as Sean McColl, if not ever so slightly quicker. Tomoa known for his kind of springy style, but it's not a gimmick. You've got to be very powerful to climb like that. It's rewarded him with 2 World Championships and 2 season overall titles in Boulder World Cups. What can he do here in the lead? Crowd really coming to life now and giving him a lot of encouragement. Led with the left foot, but made it look comfortable. Tomoa again choosing not to get the clip done. Now he goes. Maybe not the most comfortable clipping position. You can see just fumbled it slightly with the left hand. Must be getting pretty pumped now. Goes up to the next ice cream cone. 34 plus is the score he's hunting down. He's got a lot of climbing to do before he gets there. Again, the crowd really coming to life. That's where Adam Ondra got to. 34 plus, 33 plus would be enough to get him on the provisional podium for now. Crosses through with the right hand, and I think knew it wasn't going to work. As soon as he committed to it, that's going to be a 30 plus for Tomoa. That's going to put him into third place right now.
Yeah, this section of cones is really causing all sorts of sequencing issues. It seems to be if you can't get through here, you come off instantly on the next move. It's whether you go up high to hold 30, which is that third one, before using this left hand 29. And it's what you do with the feet in that sequence. Tomoa just tried to cross all the way through to hold 31, not using hold 30 to make the progression to that next move. Looks super awkward. I have to say that sequence looks awkward in general.
Last climber makes his way out onto the stage, and it is a true legend. Alex Megos will always be famous as the first man to on-site a 9A route outside, and he's really beginning to learn the competition game as well. Won his first World Cup in Briançon last year in 2018. What can he do in Hachioji 2019? He has an absolutely massive opportunity. Adam Ondra got to hole 34 and moved off it, ended up with a score of 34 plus. If he can get anywhere near the last 5 moves of this route, he is going to be crowned world champion in really only his second year of competition climbing. Amazing stuff if Alex could pull this off.
Just look at his body language, Charlie. Usually Alex Megos is joking with the crowd, really engaging with everybody. Didn't even look at them, just looked straight at the route. This is the biggest opportunity of Alex Megos' competition career right here.
It's been enjoyable to watch Alex's transition into a competition climber. We did see him occasionally in World Cups until last year. But even last year he was a bit jokey about it. He's quite happy to admit he was learning the game. There was lots he didn't know, and he got that World Cup win in Briançon, and it's felt then since that day that everything's changed slightly, and I think he's realizing that if he takes this seriously, he could really do some damage. And what an opportunity he has here in Japan.
At the moment this route is really coming down to that cruxy sequence around 27, 28, 29 and 30. It's all about getting through there as cleanly as possible.
Can't help but think there's got to be a lot of nerves at play here for Alex. He's had to listen to the crowd reactions to the 7 climbers before him. Got an awful long time to wait, and you imagine there's a pretty good idea there hasn't been a top. He's known for having massive endurance, but he's got to read these sequences right. Needs to engage the left hand and drops back down. You really can't afford to be doing moves twice up here. Just having to hug that volume.
He's got to power into this next hole to somehow regain his composure.
There's a little screw on black jib there, but he had his foot on the very low friction part of that volume, the left foot, and he didn't look comfortable with it at all. So a little bit of physical energy, and you suspect also a bit of nervous energy when you have a little issue like that, well short of where you'll need to be. Can't help playing with you mentally slightly, so Alex could do with just getting himself back on track, cruising through a few moves, reading them perfectly.
Yeah, he had to take the rest that Jakob had to take. Jakob made a different mistake, but in a similar area on the wall, so Megos just trying to get something back on that crimpy section before heading into this left to right traverse.
Again, led with the left foot there and had a little stab with the left toe. Wanted to kind of place the foot before he really committed onto it. We saw some of the earlier climbers just swing across, confident that the foot would land. Alex goes up now with the right hand onto the first of the ice cream cones. Gets the clip done early. Wise stuff from Alex Megos. He's closing in on the high point, but he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to get there. He's about 7 or 8 moves short of it, but they are 7 or 8 very, very hard moves. He's definitely getting pumped now. Bumps up with the left hand onto the head wall. Feet cut loose. Trying to figure out what to do with the hands, what to do with the feet, how to keep himself on this wall high in Hachioji. He's gone very early out to that hold. Now the traverse begins. This is going to be so tight. 34 plus is the high point set by Adam Ondra. That is the furthest left triangular hold currently on your screen. He needs to get to that, move off it to be crowned world champion. Crosses through with the right hand. You can see how tired Alex Megos is getting. He's got a real battle on his hands here. Oh, the foot slips. And Adam Ondra wins his 3rd World Championship. Alex Megos looked like he had some energy left. He was definitely pumped, but just couldn't quite find the sequence. Made a tiny mistake earlier on and perhaps paid for it. Breathing hard. Amazing performance from Alex. Would have been great to see him on the top section of the route, but as it is, he slips. He ends up 2nd, and Adam Ondra, for the 3rd time, is lead world champion.
Oh, that was an absolute emotional roller coaster. Straight from that really big mistake down low. Well, it wasn't even, you couldn't even really call it a mistake. It was just a struggle with the feet on the undercut. Just couldn't get the feet placed right, couldn't power into that left-hand undercut. From that point there, he managed to make what was quite an extraordinary recovery. Got through the cones, but had to fight really hard. As he was going through those cones, I was pretty sure he was off. As soon as he hit that first crossover crimp, right on the right-hand side, hit it with the back 2 fingers and just locked it down, at which point I thought, this is back on.
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. No, he's blown this. Oh, it could be on here. Good to see 2 of the true greats of climbing, 3 of the true greats of climbing. What, Mike, we've talked about how the cream rises to the top when it matters most. Your podium, Adam Ondra, Alex Megos and Jakob Schubert. The big names turn up for the big occasions, and those 3 really turned up today. Brilliant stuff from Alex Megos, I think. And I'm going to go and grab a word with the winner, Adam Ondra, 3rd time a world champion. Amazing stuff.
There you can see it, Adam Ondra 34 plus, Alex Megos just behind him, tied with Jakob Schubert. That one goes back to count back between those 2. 33 plus, Tomoa Narasaki in front of his home crowd. Huge pressure on him, and again, all around that cruxy bouldery sequence on the big cones, really wrapping the wrist, which hand to go with which point first. Getting the feet in all sorts of mess up there. Gets the 30. Sean McColl joins him on 30, all in the same area. Stefano Gasolfi 29 plus. All those results really did just depend on what sequence you used of the hands rather than really how high you got up on the wall. Ended up being Tomoa in front of Hannes Pumin. All really could have got the same score. Into the right to left section, it was Jakob Schubert and Alexander Megos who were in the middle of the wall, but it was just one move separating them. As Adam Ondra takes it once again. I think even Ondra himself, when he came down, didn't really expect that as a result. And as each climber fell away, he must have been getting more and more nervous. Alexander Megos, there was real no emotion for him as he came down there. He seems to have relaxed a bit now, but he really, really wanted this one. Ondra takes the celebration. I think he's going to be so chuffed with that, with an absolute disaster of a boulder finals. Comes back and takes away the World Championship in lead. And another medal for Jakob Schubert. How he manages to do it every single time, always on the podium. Great scenes here in the finals tonight. No one really near the top couple of 5 moves here in the men's final, but the route setters really couldn't risk it tonight. They had to put in a hard route with a field that was that strong. There was clearly some fatigue out there. And we will very shortly be hearing from Adam. It was a big, big fight for the climbers up there, and a good show. Good, crimpy, classic bit of endurance testing. So let's hear from Adam Ondra now.
Adam, 3-time lead world champion. How does that sound?
Absolutely incredible. Honestly, tonight I did not expect it. I felt tired. No matter how I tried to pretend that I'm not tired after the bouldering final, I was. But I really left there everything. Like the move which actually decided about the victory, I just couldn't believe my eyes that I just still stayed there and made the extra plus, which made me win.
And that top section, it looks so desperate. Did you think you'd done enough, or did you feel that you might get past?
When I fell, I thought it would be enough for the podium, but honestly I expected Alex to climb higher because he just looked so incredibly strong in the qualification and the semifinals, and he was incredibly strong in the finals despite this massive flop in the middle of the route. It's just still incredible he managed to get that high. I kind of feel definitely lucky that I won, and it was like because of the Alex mistake, but still so incredible that he got the second place anyway.
Well, I think you're being very generous. It was a fantastic performance, wonderful final for us to watch, and congratulations, a 3-time lead world champion.
Thank you, thank you.
Such a humble character, Adam Ondra. I think just shaking his head as he can't quite believe he's managed to take away the gold medal. That does conclude a spectacular evening of World Championships lead climbing. Don't go anywhere though, because we will be bringing you the podiums. But from Charlie and myself, that is us. Have a fantastic night, and we'll be joining you for the speed competition later on in the week, followed by the Olympic combined. Have yourself a great evening.
award ceremony for the IFSC Climbing World Championships 2019 Hachioji Lead. Medals will be presented by Mr. Pierre-Henri Payason and Mr. Toru Kobinata, Vice Presidents of the International Federation of Sports Climbing. Gift of Dharma will be presented by Mr. Kuniaki Yagihara, President of the Japan Mountaineering Sports Climbing Association, and Mr. Yujiro Goda, Event Advisor. Traditional Hachioji textile will be presented by Mr. Takayuki Ishimori, Mayor of Hachioji City.
なお表彰のメダルプレゼンターは国際スポーツクライミング連盟ピエール・アンリ・パヤソン副会長、同じく副会長小日向徹、そして記念品ダルマのプレゼンターとして公益社団法人日本山岳スポーツクライミング協会会長八木原邦明、合田裕次郎大会顧問、そして開催地八王子市より八王子織物が八王子市長石森孝之様よりそれぞれ贈られます。
Now please welcome our women medalists. Bronze medalist, representing Japan, Slovenia.
これより国歌の演奏を行います。会場の皆様、ご起立とご脱帽の上、会場モニターにご注目ください。 は続きましては選手の皆様とプレゼンターの皆様で撮影を行います。プレゼンターの皆様、ご登壇ください。
Thank you, everyone. Please step down.
プレゼンターの皆様、そして女子選手の皆様、ありがとうございました。ご登壇ください。
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our men medalists.
して選手の皆